Let's get started.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
Do not attempt to adjust your dial. I'm transmitting live. Yo,
Let's get down to business.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
All right.
for the underground world, every street and borough.
You may learn something.
Experience.
You are now listening to the Joe Rogan Experience with Chico, Simon, Kamar, and your host, Matt Floyd.
Welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience. My name is Matt Floyd, joined as always by Kamar
Boys are back in town. Welcome to the party.
and Simon.
What is going on?
100.
Woohoo!
100.
We made it.
Whoop, whoop. Come on,
Dipped
can
into
we
the
get
special effects
can we
budget?
Get a couple of ooh, 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 ooh. There you go.
It's huge. Huge.
Yeah. What we do here is very simple. The three of us have listened to every episode of the Joe Rogan Experience this week. We are going to rate each episode as well as the week on a scale of 1 to 5 Jamie Vernon's. And then we're going to talk about each guest, the talking points, give our opinions, this, that, and the next. Did you ever think we'd make it to 100?
100! What a milestone.
Simon, did
Wouldn't
you?
rather do it with
Did you ever think
anyone
we'd
else.
make it?
No, I never thought we'd make it. I don't know what in my head was going to happen.
I like that we all went out and spent $400 assuming we would never fully utilize it.
I mean, whatever. It seemed like
That's the arts.
small price to pay for the ability to talk amongst your friends.
And here we are, 100 episodes later.
Yeah, tough to believe. Definitely tough to believe.
Pulling out all the stops.
Yeah, really. Well, I mean, Simon and I were we're out of town this week, so we have nothing special planned other than
I thought about buying so we could do shots, but that just doesn't
Defeats
work
the
with you
purpose.
two.
I think it's more exciting to the 2-year anniversary. We're sort of confused in our episodes or the time we've been doing it, which I think is coming up in like 3 weeks.
no, the 2 year is in November 1st, I believe.
6
Something
weeks,
like
5
that.
weeks, yeah.
Yeah, either way, you're close. I think it's 5 weeks away. So we'll do something special for the
Well,
2 year.
big celebration.
There's no point in celebrating things that are 2 months apart or a month apart. So
But it's a milestone. I remember when Joe hit 100. I remember when Mark Maron hit 100. It was a big deal. So I'm proud of us.
I mean, it feels like 100 means you're official. It's kind of like 10 years in comedy.
Something like that.
You know, I mean, not that I'm saying we're that deep in, but 100 feels like, especially when you do them weekly. You know what I mean? It feels like you've reached something.
Well, I
even though we haven't
remember
done shit.
Kamar saying right at the start, content. You just need to have content. Just keep putting out podcasts, boys.
Yeah.
And now if you were to go to our podcast for the first time, there would be a backlog of 100 episodes.
library.
Yeah.
It's 220,
A
actually.
library.
Plus Patreons. Get on that Patreon.
I'm so sick of your semantics, Matt.
I'm just saying, the post shows, there's something, man.
It took
so.
me 100 episodes.
It'll be difficult to calculate, but we'll really hit our stride when we log our 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
We're probably like 600, 700 hours right now.
That's it.
I don't know.
Well, that's why
Average
we're such
3 hours an
shitty
episode,
podcasters.
300
That makes
episodes.
sense.
That's true.
300, 600, 700 hours.
Yeah, so we're nowhere close to the old PhD in podcasting.
Or we're on our way. We don't know where we're going.
Wasn't that awesome when Joe hit the cough button, but then the other mic picked up his cough? I was just, he's just like us.
Yeah, I don't. It's funny because
It's a whole different story.
someone this week mentioned, or I heard someone mention that there's no headphones. I didn't even realize that.
There are
What a
no
terrible way.
headphones.
There was no headphones for the Curry, but they have had headphones since.
Well, yeah, but he had 2 that were Skype, so he has to have headphones for those. That's different. But the in studio guests, they haven't had headphones. Interesting, huh? I don't know why they would set it up that way or why that makes it better, but whatever.
The whole studio is a headphone.
They're wearing headphones for Lex Fridman and
Are they interesting?
Adam
Oh.
Curry. No, Tim Kennedy, sorry, and Ron White.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're right and I'm wrong. Shall we do what we normally do here? You want to run down the guests?
I
Weeks,
was
you have
hoping you
to
could
ask
ask me
people
how
about
my
our
week
weeks.
was.
Oh, no, we were out of town, so I figured we'd forget all that. But how was your week, Kamar?
Number 2.
My
Yeah,
week
no, I
was
see.
hilarious. As you know, I'm painting houses.
My week was hilarious.
And last week, I was painting this house out in Stranraer, these 2 gay guys.
Yeah.
And the first week, I was like, I feel like they're just watching me paint. Like almost like voyeur sort of thing. But I was like, I'm just paranoid or whatever. And then the other day, we're in the kitchen, both of us, and this guy sitting there staring at us. And
Naked?
No, but I was like cutting a line in the ceiling, yellow, white ceiling, and my buddy tells him he's got to move because he's going to paint the area where he is. He goes, sorry, I've got to interrupt you. And he goes, well, it's a good thing you're a cute interruption. And I was like, what? And I put a big streak of yellow on the ceiling. I'm like, we are being had here. Like, we're pieces of meat. And so we've had a brainchild. We're going to paint for gay guys in short shorts.
I was just going to say, it sounds to me like you discovered a nice little niche market
I think
for
so.
yourself.
Gay guys and divorcees.
Yeah, and you just show up in like tank tops and short shorts. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
They get to like look at your balls while you're cutting lines.
Yeah, exactly. So things may be looking up for the old painter kid over here. And that sums up my week in a nutshell.
Simon, how was your week?
Well, our week was great. I
Yeah,
mean,
boys, how was it?
yeah,
You,
it was
you
terrific.
recharged the batteries?
You know, Matt, I think it's worth mentioning what a mensch you are. And for anyone who doesn't know what a mensch is,
It's a good thing.
Yeah, somebody goes out of their way, stand-up guy. I mean, as long as I've known you, you've always been very open with your space. And
I try.
for a person who's constantly trying to escape their own house, that has come in very handy for me. No, but seriously, like, you know, in a normal year, you would have us up to the island 3-4 times.
yeah.
You never had a problem hosting poker games. Like, I think that's worth mentioning.
Well, thank you, Simon. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I
But
also
yeah,
have
it
a
was
fear of
great.
dying alone, so constantly having the place to be is a good way to ensure that that there's always someone around.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Especially when you have sorry to cut you off, Connor. Especially when all your friends are like married with kids, it's good to have the place to escape because then they need you as much as you need them. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of a
that's
double-edged sword.
interesting. And it'll be a great place to host your funeral. So it's kind of a
That's uplifting.
Excuse me, no cough buttons here. I guess I do have a cough button. I can't
But
reach
yeah, no, just worth mentioning. And it was great. I mean, just getting out of the city for a couple of days. I got a message today that I used 33% less data last week. I was like, whoa, that's awesome. And I was like, oh yeah, I was in the country. I should have used no data.
That's crazy because we actually used we used all of our data this month because we usually use data at home.
Well, that's
so.
because you were streaming stuff.
yeah.
I didn't really do much with my phone while I was up there. I listened to podcasts that I had already downloaded, and I didn't listen to Rogan. So,
That being said, Kamar, yes, it was nice to. The weather was not super gracious to us, but
Got some rain?
no, it was just like the days where it was supposed to be sunny and nice. It was windy as fuck.
It was more of a fall than an autumn.
Way more.
there
of a
was
fall.
one day that was supposed to be 26 degrees, which I think it was, but the wind was at like 1,000 knots. So
It
one
was a
kinda-
blowing. Was it emotional?
No, I don't get emotional over shit like that. It's to me.
For
It's,
those who don't know, it was the last time. Is it the last time you'll ever be there, or
I mean, I'm most likely going to help my parents move some shit out.
So it wasn't
in the
the-
next week or two.
the
But even
final.
then, I don't know. To me, it's just a place.
Yeah,
the
that's
people
fair.
are what make memories, and my family are mostly still alive. My grandfather who bought the place is no longer with us. That's sad.
I'm sad, Kumar.
yeah? Okay,
I
there we
don't
go.
sue at all.
Someone has emotions here.
I will say this. Yes, for
Someone has a heart.
No, I will say this. Like, I will miss. I just don't think it'll go away. I have a feeling that my family will buy something else and we'll go up there. But yeah, it's been nice the last 3 or 4 years going up every year for the same week in September and kind of having a week off. But who gives a fuck? It's a pleasure.
You
to-
don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's get this fucking podcast on the road.
Let's get cooking.
We only had 3 this week. 2 of them were Skype. So if you're one of those, this COVID thing is over and there's no second wave, well,
Wow, I don't think COVID had anything with Snowden being around square. But yeah, I
never
think
know.
it might be 3 a week now. That's the new.
you think 3 a week is the new norm?
Well, it's been 2 weeks in a row. We'll see. But yeah, so this week we had.
Can I just say I would have no problem with 3 a week.
I think that'd be perfect.
Yeah, I wouldn't get your hopes up. I
I'm
think
not.
it's just because it's the first 2 weeks.
They're all pre-taped and stuff. So we had philosopher, hero of freedom, 1536, Edward Snowden. Then we had fanboy Lex Fridman, 1537. And finally, we had conservative author Douglas Murray, 1538. Not without controversy.
Oh, excellent, Kamar. He did it properly. Controversy. Lovely. I fucking love it, Kamar. You're a fucking right one,
Brilliant,
right?
brilliant, smashing.
Yes. What's the score in the Chelsea-Liverpool game?
Ditto.
All right. Let's rate it. Start by rating the week. Simon, we'll start with you. How many Jamie Vernons would you give this 3-guest week?
I give this Jamie Vernon week a 2.5.
I'm going to echo that 2.5. Just really nothing special happening. Selling some books.
I'll give it a 3.5.
Generous Matt.
Well, one of these is getting a high-ass rating for me, so.
Interesting. I think I know which one.
I would hope you would.
But, yeah, I mean, last week was a sort of a shit show, and was hoping things would get back on track, but just seems to be getting worse over there in Austin.
So I wonder if, so we know that being in LA afforded him a certain amount of people who were just in town.
Access.
Right. So now those people aren't in town. He doesn't have his comedy place open. There's no draw to Texas. Are we going to get a bunch more Skypes coming up? Or is he just going to fill all those gaps with
Lex flew
hunters? Yeah, but Lex would fly to the fucking center of the hollow earth to meet Joe for a fucking podcast. I don't even want to start with him yet because it's going to taint everything I say.
Well, this kind of brings up an interesting point is Joe always used to tell everyone you should start a podcast, and they all did start podcasts, and now none of his comedian friends go on unless they're actually selling something. And since none of them have anything to sell right now.
But we don't like comedians, or we didn't like comedians, and now we missed them.
No, I love comedians. They just don't do well for us to talk about on our show. But I still, for my week, if it was like 3 scientists and 2 comedians, that's the balance I'm looking for.
But it's completely true. No comedian has anything going on.
That's what I'm saying. But the weird thing to me, Kumar, is it felt like and I know we're not in the early days anymore, but in the early days of Joe Rogan, when no one had a podcast, they were all just like, let's just go on Joe. You know what I mean? Like, I got nothing to do. I got nothing going. Ari, Tom, Bert, Joe. I mean, again, I know that they're all separate right now, but I'm wondering if even when everyone moves to Austin, will Tom Segura be on once every 2 months?
I've said it before. It got too big, and it will never be the same.
Well, I believe you're right.
And it's unfortunate, and it's just a new era. And like you said, the COVID thing, hopefully whenever that passes after this election or 2 years from now, then we might see some normalcy. But yeah, things are going to be speculation from here on in.
Let me just say this too. I'm no stranger to shoddy lighting setups. They just cannot get the lighting right in there.
Least at this point now, the aesthetics of the studio are the least of my worries about what's going wrong with the Joe Rogan Experience.
I'm with you, but
I think I was talking to someone. I think after 30 episodes, it will just become okay. This is what it is. Like this week was less shocking than the first week, and so I think it's just my head is so used to that bigger room and everything, and eventually the lighting and whatever will just be this is what it is. But no, it's nothing special as we anticipated when we saw that first design.
The alien mothership.
Someone said it looks like inside of a microwave.
he just needs I don't know, whatever. I just think that if they have so much money, invest in some cameras with larger sensors, get rid of these, like, they're still rocking old camcorder type shits. They need some, if they had some depth is one of their biggest problems in the studio. I know this is like just me nitpicking on.
Oh no, it's true.
You're
not alone.
If they had some bokeh, some nice background blur, it might help. There's too much space in between their head and the top too. Again, I know that we suffer from all these problems, but we're a fucking fly-by-night operation here. So
can I ask you a weird question?
Go nuts.
I was listening to Tim Dillon, and he made a joke about how people are leaving LA, and he was like, Ben Shapiro took his 70 employees and moved to wherever the fuck he moved his operation to. I don't know. Idaho. I don't care. And he said, and Joe Rogan took his one and moved to Texas, Jamie Vernon. And I thought about, Jerry is a huge machine. Exactly. That makes a shit ton of money. That
and has no moving parts.
Well, no, but doesn't, he has no employee base that he's supporting. Do you know what I mean? Like, he didn't create all these jobs because of all of his wealth, which is usually the way that it would work, right? Like, you make a company, your company gets bigger, and as you get bigger, you get more people that are benefiting off your success, I guess, in a way, right?
Yeah.
What's the question?
I don't know. Should he have more employees?
Well, I think
To-
if he opens up a comic club, he will have a bunch more employees. I mean, this has happened so fast. Who knows what he will have months from now?
It hasn't happened so fast, though, that JRE has been a money-making machine.
What's your point, though? I don't get it. Because
I don't know.
first of
It
all,
was
the
a question.
club
It was a
club
question.
will be separate from JRE, so
It's
that won't have anything.
It's not really a point. It was more like, take Shapiro, who's in essence, I'm sure makes way less money on his show than Joe makes on his, has 70 employees.
Lex
has
Fridman has an
zero-
employee.
Joe has 0 employees.
No, he has employee. He has Jamie. He's got the security. Like,
There's Matt. There's 2 security guards. Listen, I get it. It's
for
probably
the
split.
size
editors.
of his show, he is not.
2 editors. We forgot about that
No,
too.
I mean, we don't want it to be. I'm just wondering from like a fiscal. I don't even know.
well, what
I'm
we
asking.
don't want is gone now. Like, the wheels have come off, and this is out of control. It's clear he did not put enough thought into this partnership with Spotify, with all the news this week and stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's very bad.
For sure. Well, we'll get to that in.
Well, weird. Do we want to? Okay, fine.
probably
Let's just
post
start
it.
with
We'll probably
Snowden.
post it,
Fine,
yeah.
we'll start with
Let's
Snowden.
get into
we're
it.
15 minutes in. We haven't even talked about a guest.
All right. Number. Throw me a number here. I don't have it.
I'm going to say
I don't even
1537.
care. I don't even. It's Edward Snowden for a repeat
1537
appearance
is my
in the
guess.
last year.
With nothing to offer.
No, it was the exact same podcast. The only difference was that
1536.
this time Edward Snowden had something to sell.
Yes.
His book. Oh, and sorry, there is one piece of breaking news, which was
What are you talking about? That's huge. That the
Yes.
U.S. government came out and was like, yeah, this guy's actually a fucking hero. What the government was doing was illegal.
except
That we already knew that.
we already knew that, and he's still not welcome home with open arms. You admitted you were wrong. He gave out information that, like, what did they say?
And did it properly.
The
by the
ruling was NSA bulk collection was deemed illegal. So that's exactly what they did.
He's just a good
And-
citizen.
And yet he's still not welcome back with open arms. So that, I guess that's my frustration.
Well, I have no frustrations. This guy could come on This guy could come on at a Tom Popper rate and say what he's saying, and I'd be fine with it. Because I think this needs to be heard more often.
I think he's just like a broken record. And like, how so many times Joe asks him a question and then he just go off and go, oh, sorry, what was the question? Like, he's just wrapped up his talking points because all he's done is consuming his book. I give him a pass because he tried to do something right and he has to survive. So I hope he sells books. But like, we know from the last podcast, he's just a dude that was working in Hawaii that didn't really know anything but saw something and exposed it. I don't know why he's such an expert now.
Remember, it was Skype too. So just in all fairness, some of their conversations were a little bit disjointed. He might have gone on a little too long when Joe asked a question because, right? You know,
That's possible. I just found it like his speaking tone. You know what I mean? Like, it's he talks like he's uncovering something every
I
time he
kind of
opens his mouth.
understand what Kamar's saying. If, okay, here you have this guy who obviously did something really good. He saw something that was wrong and he thought, you know what? Nobody else is going to stand up for this and I'm going to stand up for this. Great. That then, does that make him like Socrates of fucking, you know, like a doyen of everything that has to do with whistleblowing? No, probably not. But he spent, you know, the past how many years sitting around. I'm sure he's, you know, filled his time becoming really well versed in his fight, you know?
I think I would have preferred to hear what he misses about living in America, or just rather than all his political views or philosophical views on the state of the country and stuff. You know what I mean? There's a little more humanity out of it.
I don't want to hear that. That would be the saddest. I don't want to hear that. Personally, I'd rather the guy's trying to get back into the country right now. So I don't think that going on Joe Rogan and being like, I really miss ice cream and I miss a good burger, and I just don't think that comes off as strong as him being like, I'm still stuck in Russia. It's still been almost 10 years. Even though the government just admitted they were wrong, I'm still not allowed back in. I'm stuck here now hoping that Joe Rogan, who's like, I know a guy that knows Donald Trump, I might pass that along to him.
Dude,
like,
that was
how
a
obscene, like,
Sorry.
No, I'm just, where are we at now? Where like a podcast host has to pass along secondhand to the president.
That was a super weird moment. Where Joe, like, didn't you find that odd?
Joe is clearly voting Trump.
Where Joe said, you know, I don't know the president personally, but I know people who know the president, and I'm going to make sure that he knows, if he doesn't know this story, he knows this story. I was like, what is going on here?
I read an article. Oh, no, there was Assange.
But like, what's going to happen? He's going to go to Dana White and be like, Dana, have you heard about Edward Snowden? And then Dana's going to be like, I got to go talk to Trump about this. This is insane. Sorry, Kumar, go ahead.
That's completely possible. That is completely possible. I read an article that Trump was considering pardoning Assange, and I got confused. But I think that's how Trump operates.
And then Joe said, you know, this would be great for his campaign. I mean, this would be right?
That was the most insane shit to me ever. I was like, what's happening right now?
Of course, Donald Trump knows that. And if he is planning on, pardoning Snowden, he's going to do it right around the election because he's not a dummy when it comes to self-promotion.
Like we're saying right and left both should agree that Edward Snowden is a hero and has been done wrong by.
Well, I would think so. But at the same time, the things he's talking about are a power problem, right? And both of those people are vying for power. Both of those organizations are vying for power. They're both going to be shitty when they get in there. They're both going to steal more data and more information because that shit's never stopped, you know? He exposed it and they still have the right to do it. All of those acts are still in place.
What's crazy to me is that you guys, like, even after the first time and having you guys be like, he's just coming on and saying the same shit over and over, there's still 10% of America that thinks this guy should fucking rot in jail for the rest of his life.
I didn't say that. I was just explaining to
fine,
you
but even what
Kamar's point
fine,
was.
But Kamar feels that way, and I'm saying, like, there's still 10% of people out there that think this guy should rot in jail for the rest of his life. That to me is insane.
Yeah, that's why I'm not hating on this episode so much, because if you missed it the first time, it's super important the second time. Just let this fucking guy come home so that everybody knows that if there's an injustice going on, you don't have to be afraid for your life to tell somebody about it. You know, that's a bad precedent.
If this podcast is a catalyst,
to
get him back and clear his name or whatever, then it's a good thing. Other than that, it did nothing for me.
The thing that hits home the most is when he's like, I was living in Hawaii. You've been there.
Like he threw a great life away to do this, so admire his sacrifice.
It's not like he was like, I was in northern Minnesota in a fucking bunker. Like
Minnesota?
Yeah. He was in literally what I consider to be the best place on earth with what he says, I was with the woman I love, and he threw it all away to protect you guys.
I wonder if you asked him if he would do it again, knowing what he knows now.
But he said he would.
Well,
he said he'd do it 100 times out of 100.
I wasn't listening.
So I don't know. I don't know why I have this note. It must have been something that they said, but it is interesting. So the Israelis back in after World War II, they started selling, like as their military was getting better, I guess they started selling software to other countries. It was actually Ghislaine Maxwell's father. He was the businessman who was in charge of making those deals. And they all had a backdoor to them that the Israelis could then use to spy on all these countries who had bought the software.
It was spyware.
Hence creating like this perpetual blackmailing machine. This is exactly what this guy is exposing. You know what I mean?
No, he's exposed. He's not exposing it. Like, what access does he have now? That's what I wonder.
No, now he's just writing books telling the people about what is possible and what is out there. I think that's important, Kumar.
But he's learned nothing new about the NSA or what they're up to.
But maybe
he's out now.
He has, like I said, he has a shit ton of time to do a shit ton of research. And this guy has written a book, okay? Just like when another author comes on and he's written a book and we give him the expert benefit of the doubt, you're just not giving it to this guy because...
I 100% said at the very beginning, I'm glad he's on because he's in a hard place and I hope he sells lots of books. Personally, for me, I'd rather hear what's his day-to-day in Russia. Like, just something different. I mean, he was optimistic,
I think you have to realize.
which is surprising. You know what I mean? Through all this, like he wasn't like broken. So
Go ahead, Matty.
Well, I'll respond to that first. I think he's not broken though, because I think he's always felt like the greater good will prevail, and that eventually he'll be allowed back in, and that.
And he wasn't in the same situation that Julian Assange was, where he
got
stuck
out.
in a building having to ride his skateboard around for fun. This guy was living in Russia as kind of like a superstar. He even said it himself. You know what I mean? He couldn't walk down the street without being recognized by somebody telling him what a great job he did or whatever.
But I was going to say too, I think as far as you asking about his day to day, I think he's very secretive about like where he is, and wouldn't say anything about his day to day in fear of maybe giving up.
I guess that's fair. But if he plays soccer with friends, or I mean, what if it turns out he likes Nickelback?
You want to know if he's doing pottery and shit.
I just don't care what he thinks.
Okay, interesting. So he was talking about companies out there who their whole business is attacking the iPhone, and I thought that was an interesting kind of concept. And of course that exists, but it just never occurred to me. It's so
narrow,
specific. So like, you know, you're some guy from Reddit, like, what do you do? Oh yeah, I'm I corrupt iPhones. You know what I mean? Like it's
But the companies might be a part of a part, and you don't even know what you're doing.
that's interesting.
You're just sort of like
it's all
working on a system,
It's like CIA departmentalized.
put all together,
Yeah.
and then this is what I do.
Yeah. It's the whole Bob Lazar scenario.
Did we assess from that bit what the best phone is to have? I think it is iPhone, eh?
No, not for attacks. He was saying like Android phones have so many varying factors that you have to like create something specifically for certain operating systems on a certain phone. Whereas iPhone, if you have the new operating system, which we almost all, you know, they make you kind of get the new operating system
the
every
apps
time
won't
it comes
work and
out.
whatnot.
Yeah, or it just slows your phone down. So he was saying that it's easier for people to attack the iPhone because we're all kind of on the same network and platform and whatever.
We're all stuck with iPhone for life, eh? Barring something massive. I can't see myself changing on operating.
I mean, like I said, I think that iPhone, I don't know. I like to believe that they're the least corrupt of them all, but it's probably just a lie for our benefits. Why would we? I believe that because somebody said it. You know what I mean? They take less data than everybody else.
I thought it was
okay.
douchey that because you got to test the iOS system.
Yeah.
They should toss you some cash.
Well, I mean, keep in mind, Kamar, that there's some people that test it and don't do shit. I actually gave feedback.
And you should actually get $100.
Well, okay, I'm with you that maybe there
You know,
should be
they're
some
worth
sort
$2
of
trillion. Like, hey guys, want to help volunteer to help us make more
maybe
money?
not even cash. Maybe just hey, here's $25 in the iStore or whatever the fuck. Sure, I'm with you.
I just think it's obscene.
There are probably so many people who just want to try something new before everyone else does that they don't. It's like a lineup of people, let alone they have to like reach into their pocket.
Well,
to
they're
pay
undercutting everyone by giving their intellectual property away for free.
Well, maybe you should take the place of fucking what's his name, the gay guy.
Tim Cook.
Yeah.
I mean, Kamar, I'll put it to you this way. Like
I just, if they asked me, I'd say, send me some money or I'm not. And obviously they say, okay, fuck you. But
I mean, that's the thing is I had the choice. Like for me, I just, you know, I thought the new shit on the new operating system was cool and I wanted it on my phone then. And I don't mind giving a bit of feedback.
it's like you did something for them, they did nothing for you. And it's just, that's not good business.
Okay.
Listen, I'll have this.
I'm upset for
It's
you.
a weird.
I'll have a
argument.
different argument with you. If you're going to steal all my data, you should just give me the fucking phone for free.
This too.
That's a better argument.
That's the
something we
better
can start
flex
talking
we
about.
should be worried
Yeah.
about. You know.
Just some give and take here. They're just taking.
Yeah. Again, Maddie's argument makes a lot more sense. What you're saying is like, pay me for something that we're not really asking you to do. You know.
I mean, Kamar, in the video game world, testing is like a huge thing where they give you the game for free for 6 months and they let you play it for 6 months and play the shit out of it under the guise of.
At least they give you the game. They're giving you the update for free.
You are looking at this the wrong way. Maddie is making it seem like he's doing them a favor. He signed up to be able to do this. There
Well,
were
it's not-
lots of people who wanted to do it.
I just don't feel like in this scenario it's as something for nothing as you're making it out to be. Now, again, that's my opinion versus yours. You're entitled to your opinion, and that's. But again, like you said, you were like, I would tell them I want money or something for it, and you would never sign up. And I mean, that's fair enough. I feel that. And I think there's a lot of people that agree with you.
If no one signed up, then they would have to turn and say gift card if you.
That's correct.
Yeah, you're right.
So we're all undercutting.
So the market will dictate when not enough people are out there doing it for free, then they'll pay Maddie. But until that time, like
Well, this is a message to all those people. Apple's a bunch of freeloaders. Say no.
But even then, Kamar, I can make a counter argument. There are people that have turned around and monetized that. There are the Marquise Brownlees, the unboxed therapies that download that shit early, give them feedback, but then also make a video about it, and that video gets 1 million downloads, and then it's not necessarily
So there
something
is an
for
opportunity
nothing.
for them, but
There is an opportunity, yeah. I mean,
fuck Apple. I still love your
yeah,
iPhone.
there you go.
and Simon, it was me that told you, again, my whole thing with Apple is if the U.S. government is going to go to Apple and say, we have an active shooter, give us the passcode to this phone, and Apple's going to go, well, we need a warrant or something that, we need something that says we have to do this, and the government can't provide it, then Apple says no. That to me is huge, because I think most companies would have just fucking given it to them. Anyway.
Yeah, I think they're all evil, and because I use Apple, I just like to think
Of course.
that it's the less
course.
evil of the bunch.
So you can
but
sleep at night.
They're all fucking slaving kids to dig gems and fucking God knows where.
Foxconn.
Anyways, can we talk about Julian Assange for a couple of seconds?
Sure.
Because I think it's
Sure.
worthy of discussion.
Yeah.
So like they were saying, this guy was the darling of the fucking left for a while. He was like, he exposed Bush. And then he gets caught, and then he releases Hillary's documents, like that was the WikiLeaks, and just like fuck that guy, right? Like all of a sudden they just turn on him like nobody's business. He was doing the same thing he always did, was release the truth.
Yeah, they just don't like it when you release the truth about their side.
Yeah, no shit.
It's pretty ugly.
In essence, he cost Hillary that election, I think, because, we were talking about a really small margin, right? That Trump won by. Am I wrong there?
Electoral votes or popular votes?
Whatever. I don't even know. Listen,
Because Hillary won the popular vote, right? But lost the electoral.
I'll never understand what that
I'm
means.
asking Kamar. I don't remember.
No, she did.
I don't care either. One way or the
But
other.
anyways,
He won the electoral.
Yeah,
vote.
and she won the
popular.
but she didn't even win the popular by
She
that
got more.
much, right?
She got more votes overall.
yeah.
if it doesn't come out that maybe she's like some weird pedophile and all sorts of other shit,
Maybe those 2 million votes are electoral.
yeah,
votes,
maybe we're having a totally different conversation right now. So, anyways, point is, he did a huge thing too, man, because
Bigger.
I don't know about bigger.
I think bigger because he's exposed like war crimes, political crimes. Like Edward Snowden exposed one thing: the government surveilling you. The thing about, I'm glad you brought it up. So Trump offered to pardon Assange if he gave up how he got the DNC stuff. So Trump could use it to his advantage, and he refused.
Right, but
So
there,
right there, that's pretty greasy.
of course,
What? Trump is greasy?
guy.
No,
No, but I'm
I-
saying,
I
like,
can't
No,
live
but
in
I'm
this
not. I'm
world.
not talking about greasy. Like, that's not even greasy. That should be a fucking
A
conflict of
felony.
interest.
That should be a felony.
It should be very simple.
It should
it
be
up.
the same thing as trying to blackmail a police officer. You know what I'm saying? The second that you say something like that,
Yeah,
you've compromised
you're
yourself.
trading favor for.
Yeah. But they all do that. He should have just
It's the
said
price of doing
nothing
business.
and done it. You know what I mean?
These are the two biggest heroes. And what's interesting, like you said, darlings have left. There's not enough coverage from the media. As media, like taking care of their own, harping on this.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I was just going to say, there is no doubt at all that this guy, if he's the editor of WikiLeaks, or I don't know what his title was, he's the founder of WikiLeaks, right? Which is obviously like a journalist.
It's news
the
as anything
same-
else
It's
is.
the same thing. Just because you're not mass media doesn't mean you're lesser than.
It's better than news because there's no opinion source.
You can't, it's so obvious. Like, this to me just seems so un-American. And same with the Snowden, right? Like, it all just seems so un-American. And that people on the right, especially, who are like, these believers in the Constitution, like, this guy's getting railroaded, man.
And the
Both
egregious,
of these
the egregious
guys.
thing about Snowden is that's Obama. Obama, who was the protect whistleblower guy. So that's greasy as anything else.
Well, I mean, listen, Obama ran on like peace and love,
Hope and
and then
change.
fucking
Hope and change.
No, I know, but hope and change. But the sentiment was like we're back to the '60s. It's like this, and then he just was a fucking drone machine. So
no, I was just pointing out Snowden's troubles happened under an Obama administration. This isn't. He didn't expose him when Trump was president.
I mean, it's interesting. I don't know if you guys know this, but the guy that leaked all the Watergate info, his name wasn't released until after he died. He just went by the name Deep Throat.
okay,
Forever. But it's just funny that even in the 70s, a guy knew. He was like, if I'm giving you this shit, I don't want anyone. You're never going to get to know who I am, ever, until I fucking
Knew
die.
the CIA has long fingers.
That's a true.
Well, he just knew. He was like,
whistleblower.
he's like, if someone figures out who I am, I'm going to be ostracized. I'm going to be kicked out of this country.
Murdered.
Yeah. So you don't get to know who
Silenced.
I am.
And
Which begs the question, like in this day and age of encryption and shit, why didn't Edward Snowden? I mean, that's the one argument I would have. Why didn't he just do this quietly?
Well, and that's why people think that it's like a double pump fake, and he's actually like a
he should have just done this
agent,
anonymously and got on living
and
his
this
life.
is all for fucking theater.
Because he seems
I mean,
like
I
he'd have the
wouldn't-
wherewithal to do that.
I wouldn't say it's theater. I would argue that he'd want to be a martyr, or that he'd want to be Edward Snowden, the guy. You know what I mean? Everyone has their thing. He said it in this episode. He goes, "I'm not a good person." That was a quote.
Mm-hmm.
And I get what he was saying,
I
because
think he was illuminating that nobody is.
I understand that, but you know what I mean is we all have our shit, and
Another interesting thing that I hadn't really taken into account was Ross Perot. Like when I was a kid,
speaking of Apple,
and I was watching. Why? Speaking of Apple,
he has a huge Apple connection,
oh, I didn't know that.
massive.
Okay. Anyways, so when I wasn't a kid, well, when I was young, and that was all going on with Ross Perot, it was kind of like a joke. It's just like this sideshow that was going on. But meanwhile, this guy actually swayed the election. Like he made it so Clinton wins, and it's kind of like a Kanye move.
It's very similar because they're both billionaires.
So he's like the Black Ross Perot.
Well, Kanye's not a
I
billionaire.
think Kanye will be president.
Did you see that? I mean, maybe
Joe
who
really
fucking
fucked up
knows?
not getting that interview.
Did you see? Shit, what was I going to tell you? Oh, I can't forget.
I think one of the reasons Ross Perot was so comical is because Dana Carvey did such a funny impression of him on Silent Live back when Silent Live was funny.
Well, he was also kind of a caricature of a person.
Absolutely.
He was this little tiny man with giant ears and like.
And add that Dana Carvey in his prime, mimicking you, just makes the whole thing funny.
Right. So he says that the way to fix everything is through civility and accountability. And I think I can agree with that statement. You know,
think we've
if more
agreed on
people
that.
were nice to each other and more people were like understood, do unto others as you want done unto you. It's like somehow that tenet was totally lost on, and I don't want to say the youth of today because that makes me sound like an asshole, but just this kind of social media generation, you know, this idea of leaving a message anonymously that totally hurts somebody's feelings and you've done it in a second and you're on and off with your day to never think about it again, where meanwhile this guy's fucking blowing his brains out in the closet. I'm not saying that, but you get my point.
I mean,
It's
again,
funny
I think
that that's a religious tenet.
There's tons of religious things that, again,
But maybe as we get further away from religion, we become just undone. Like I know none of us believe in God, like emphatic religious person, but keeping some of those lessons.
yeah, I've always been an advocate of kind of taking what made sense from wherever you could. And
I mean, Steven Pinker would argue against everything both of you are saying.
yeah, I'm kind of done. I mean, listen.
Good friends of Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, right. Been to the island a couple of times. No, listen, he was
You're done with stats. I'm done with stats.
No. Just that idea of, like, I get it. He's right. Things have gotten better. But isn't that kind of like the all lives matter argument? Like, it just seems like a really easy way to, no, things are better now. Look at the stats. Like, not everything is better now. There are things that were better before, even though the stats may say.
Like what? I mean, again, you're going to do this where you shrug your shoulders and then you're not going to bring something up.
No, but it depends on how you look at it, right? Like, yeah, things are better now if you think that being closer to have like a computer implanted in your head is where we were trying to get to. If that's not the case, then
that's never one of the that's not one of the matrices he ever uses, but fair enough.
No, that's a matrix I'm using. I'm saying that's like kind of where we think the pinnacle is right now is how fast we can download a fucking weather update into our brain, you know?
But why do you think that? Because there's one company trying to do that? I don't understand you have this weird like way of connecting things in a very Pepe Sylvia type of way where
I mean, look, it just keeps getting, we say it all the time. Technology moves faster and faster. It doubles and triples in speeds, whatever that law is. Like we're bound to get somewhere quickly enough.
I mean, it's hard though. Like the stats don't lie. Stephen Picker says everything's getting ready, but then you're in Kenosha, Rochester, Minnesota. You're going, it doesn't seem like it's getting better.
Yeah, but that's ridiculous because just because you're in the middle of a bad event doesn't mean that things aren't getting better around you slowly.
I know that.
Change
I'm just saying
happens
to
slowly.
other people, it's like it's
that's
getting
like being
better,
in a
but
hurricane
it
and
doesn't feel
being
like
like
it's getting better.
I'm in the middle of a hurricane and I'm told things are getting better, but this seems worse.
Well, the hurricane isn't caused by society. I'm just saying problems in society. Like,
but again,
our last guess is like they're on the cusp of civil war. Why is that if things are getting better? I agree with the stats that things are getting better. It just the optics doesn't look like it's getting better. Maybe that's because there's too many screens, too many cameras, too many pundits.
You also say it all the time though. Where you live and where you go, things are great, and that the only times things are really really bad is when you watch the news. You say that all the time.
Truth.
I think it kind of goes back to like if you're a poker player and the odds say you're going to hit this many hands, well, yeah, that's the case, but you got to play all those hands, right? So if you're not, I never do a good job of explaining this point.
Well, because in this one, it's a bad example. There's billions of us, so the hands play out regardless. They might not just play out for you, is what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, look, yeah, things may be better by the numbers, but like Kamar's saying, it doesn't mean that you're ever kind of going to see the benefits.
He might have to read his book
sense?
because things might now be getting worse because of this pandemic and the lockdown and the stresses on people. I mean, I believe what he says when it's getting better, but maybe it's got a little bit worse this year.
Well, okay. So no mention of Brian Callen again. Plenty of opportunity.
How is he going to come up in an Edward Snowden episode?
Yeah.
Like, are you fucked? Joe probably had the least words per minute in this episode than any other episode.
Joe talking about Brian Callen, least of the worries. Joe not talking about, I think those episodes are now what I've been reading and were not taken over. It's not just a glitch that it didn't get uploaded. Like, there's a lot of bad things going on. Brian Callen's the least of Joe's worries. And Brian Callen's going strong with his podcast with Sam Chipley. So
you're obviously just talking about the article about Spotify employees.
Yeah, obviously.
But again, the Pete Johansson one was left off. So we went over that one. There was nothing in there.
But okay, listen, but now you can at least say these are things that are being discussed openly at Spotify.
Actually, you're missing the point because they were not supposed to be openly discussed. They were supposed to be discussed in a closed meeting. That was the first part.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Discussed openly in a forum at Spotify.
At Spotify.
Yeah.
So these things are being
But
discussed.
hold on, but that's insane, Simon. But you're arguing that a company isn't allowed to have internal discussions about the content?
No, I just don't think it would be so crazy. You're making it seem like that whole thing at the beginning with them leaving off episodes is like an insane idea. It is beyond.
We're not there yet.
Well, no.
But now we're seeing at least that we're closer.
He could address it, though, and say it's a glitch. Stuff is, don't worry, guys, we're just hammering. But he's not addressing it at all.
He doesn't address anything anymore, apparently.
What are you talking about? He addressed the fire.
Well, and he made
Well, that's another disaster.
Hold on, he had to do a whole fucking apology. Did you
What
see
is going
that
on here?
on Instagram?
That's what I'm talking about.
This was going to be my post Joe point, but like the ship is going down.
That was more concerning to me than anything. this
Everything's
week.
concerning.
To me, that's just like more kind of it's all part of this thing that's happening.
The only thing
Where all of a sudden Joe's having to apologize for anything.
the only thing that gave me solace was Joey Diaz shat on him on your mom's house, saying that's what you get when you saw the big check. And now he's making his apologies.
And
like,
especially
no compassion
for this
him.
one where he said, what he said was, people on the left are getting arrested for lighting fires in wherever.
Portland.
Portland. Fine. Joe makes all sorts of claims all the time. Like we could go through episodes.
Everything has changed.
But this
It's very
one,
bad.
all of a sudden, he's making this like insane apology about.
It was gross. It was so gross.
It doesn't mean it seems weird. It seems weird. It seems like he's having to now do something different
Yes.
than he was doing
Yes,
when
Can I,
he wasn't
can I
with
throw something out
Spotify.
there? Can I throw something out
of
there?
course.
So, Kamar, you look at our numbers. I see our numbers. Simon doesn't, so Simon wouldn't really understand this. But imagine if we were never on Spotify. Okay, we never had our podcast on Spotify, and then 2 weeks ago, I put our podcast on Spotify, and you started seeing the numbers. Now, imagine if we had Joe Rogan-esque numbers on our Apple. Can you imagine the jump you would see? You get what I'm getting at, right?
No, just come and say it.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is very simple. Our numbers on Apple are absolute dog shit. 10% of our downloads come from Apple, okay? So let's say Joe is getting 9 million downloads an episode on Apple. Okay, multiply that by 10 per episode. So let's say Joe is now looking at his Spotify numbers, which he never had before because he wasn't on Spotify. There were no analytics to be had. So he was just Joe Rogan getting 9 million downloads. Now, 2 weeks into this deal, he's looking at his numbers with Jamie and he's going, how the fuck am I getting 100 million downloads an episode? And now all of a sudden he's saying, fuck, I actually might have something here where I have some sort of fucking...
No.
All right.
He knew he had millions of downloads.
I mean, I understand
year
what
ago.
you're saying.
I'm not talking about millions. I'm talking about 10 times that, Kamar.
Okay, he knew he had hundreds of million downloads a year ago. Like he'd say it sometimes. It's crazy that I have 100 million downloads. But
Per episode.
all those YouTube and Apple downloads are going out the window, so he's going to be only stuck with his Spotify downloads.
So, and what does that mean then, though, Matt? That Joe's going to have to make these public apologies every
I'm not-
time he misquotes
You're missing.
something
No,
on-
what I'm saying is it's very simple. Is Joe? We've seen it before where Joe had all of a sudden realized, oh my God, this is a bigger podcast than I thought, and then he starts acting all fucking loopy for a little bit. I think it's the same thing. I think all of a sudden he's seeing numbers that he's not used to because I talk about it all the time. The Spotify numbers don't add up, and I believe they would do it to him too.
Listen to Joe Budden. The Spotify's numbers don't add up. What I'm trying to say is, through Joe Budden, through Joe Rogan, all that glitters does not go to Spotify. And as a podcast, as a creator, you have to look at actually what is the best model. Because like we all thought $100 million, Joe's just nothing's going to
300
change.
million.
Whatever the number, it doesn't matter. If he had just gone on Patreon, he could probably get $20 million a month. In 2 years, he makes $400 million. So it's I've used the word so many times. Maybe not compromised by the CIA, compromised whatever. If you take the money, you compromise yourself, and that's what we saw with this statement about the forest fires.
But if he took the money on his own terms from Patreon, he wouldn't be compromising himself.
Well, I guess we've known some examples on Patreon where people say something, they lose that. But I think as it's coming down, that's the best model you can have to keep your thing whatever you want to be, is just a relationship with the fans.
I'm not saying that, look, if Joe were to say something on his podcast that he like felt like he was totally wrong about and that it hurt somebody or whatever, and he wants to make an apology, he's a human. He has the right to. This one just seemed like, it seemed very pandering.
Well, ironically, we're sort of jumping ahead, but that whole podcast was about the dangers of groupthink and
Yeah.
bending a knee and submitting to pressures. Like it's just like, what is going? What are we doing here?
Let's get back to Snowden for a second. He made a really good point when he said, any occupation that is invested with the exceptional authority then must be invested with extraordinary amounts of accountability, right? And he said, if you want to take anything from what I said today, that's the tenet. And that's truth beyond belief.
Maybe I shot on him, but there's nothing he said that I was like, I totally disagree. It was just like, okay, Edward, I know. And like you said, if you miss it the first time, you definitely should get on this one and listen to this one. It needs to be heard.
And another interesting point he made, and then I extrapolate a little bit on it, is he's like, we've implemented these systems ourselves that monitor us, but not only monitor us, they judge us. So in essence, we've like created, and this is where I extrapolate a little bit. We've created like this techno god, okay? And it's not even like it's a nice god either. You know what I mean? It's like an Old Testament-y kill your son to prove your loyalty to me type of god. It's just... Again, it's like I was saying, the greatest trick the devil ever played, right, is tricking us into giving all of our information away willingly, Facebook, things like that, and thinking that like these companies are doing us a favor. Oh, thank you for hosting all my pictures so all my friends can see. Meanwhile, he said it. Well, they say it in the last episode today. Data is more important than any money you can give them. So not only are you giving them all your money, you're buying all the shit they tell you to buy, you're also giving away the thing they value most, happily.
But you've changed that because the saying was the greatest trick that devil ever played was making people think he didn't exist.
Yeah.
And now you made it data.
Yeah, well.
Okay, I thought you were using the quote.
No, it was like an example of
excellent usage.
how the devil is now in
the devil's in the data, man.
In the data, yeah.
And how do you get on that data train?
I don't know what the fuck you were talking about there, but good try.
And you know,
he seemed to get it.
Edward Snowden says he's a bad guy, but you'd think there'd be some sort of smear or something. You know what I mean?
Who? What are you talking about?
People in this society, like someone trying to. Well, Edward Snowden dated a 14-year-old or what, anything is past. But I think he's like squeaky clean. Like he's just a...
Well, I mean, they tried to do that to Assange just on this guy's a slob. You know what I mean? Like anything they could do to disparage.
But then when he's fucking Pamela Anderson, you're like, it all comes out in the wash.
And I mean, really, how messy was his room if Pam Anderson is going over there to bang him?
That's what I'm saying.
I bet you he could do fucking wicked kick flips, and he was like, "Hey Pam, check this out."
That was not Pam in her prime, but
he was
still.
a longboarder. You know this for a fact,
Julian.
Yeah.
Oh,
nah, fuck him.
That's disappointing.
May he rot in jail.
Yeah. So now you know exactly how fucking dirty his room was. Just to be clear, white. I see
dreads. Like
it's just full of hacky sacks.
Yeah.
And
Howard Hughes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just jugs of urine everywhere.
The fingernails.
Yeah. Dirty longboarder.
I hope both these guys.
Where was he being held? Sweden?
The Ecuador embassy in England.
I can't do that accent. But they were going in there every morning just like, please, could you please throw your urine jar bottles away? And he's just like, no, fuck you, giving them the finger. But his fingernails are so curled over.
And as they slam the door, it just gets hit by his own feces.
No, guaranteed he was the type that every time housekeeping came in, he was just jerking off. Like, oh my God, again.
You guys
Oh,
again?
sorry. Oh, do you want to maybe? Yeah.
Please put it away while I clean your room.
Yeah. So cool. Oh, every day with this, huh?
That's exactly what it. That's why they called them dirty.
Yeah.
It was a mistranslation.
Yeah. Huerti.
Good stuff.
Are we done with Snowden then?
Yeah, we can be done.
All right. Well, I'll let you two rate it. Kamar, go first. I was going to give it a 2.
Yeah. Nothing new came out. Very sensible young guy. I hope the best for him. I give it a 2.
I'm going to give it a 3.75. Yeah, really important episode. If it wasn't so close to the last one, like I'm with Kamar in that this did us no good. But
how far back do you think the last one was?
I think it was like a year. As far as
He didn't come to bring something new. He came to sell his book, and good on him. He needs to be
Importance to
supported.
everyone. It's up there.
I'm not buying the book.
It's getting a 5 for me. Needs to be heard. You got to hear it. You got to listen to it. No, not so many 5s, Simon. Again, if in a year where there's like 200 podcasts and I give out 6 5s, you think that's a lot?
If a year from now he comes on and it's again the same thing, we'll be like, wow, this guy's just a one-trick pony.
No, I have a feeling that he'll come on in a year and he'll be in the States.
Planning to come. That's the best possible outcome here.
Yeah, that'll be worthy.
I bear no
of a
ill will towards him.
reappearance. Did you give him a 5 the first time he was on?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, interesting.
I thought this one was more impactful.
I prefer the other one.
I truly thought, again, he spoke more. All right, fair enough. We'll just move on. It's okay.
This one was better because don't you remember the first one where Joe couldn't get a word, like the Skype wasn't working well, or
Still, there are many times Joe asked a question, Edward Snowden just went on a diatribe and said, "Oh, sorry, what was the question?" Like he wrote a book and he's just on his talking points. Nothing against that. I just didn't find it. I found the first one way more interesting, and even then, I found him unimpressive. But good on him. He's a hero.
Kamar doesn't like patriotism or heroes. Trump is the real hero.
He's not a kid.
Fighting pedophilia.
and he hates flags.
What do we do if Trump pardons him, lets him back in? Then Trump's a hero.
Well, I think that's going to happen anyways, like I said, because Trump understands self-promotion. And
Well, I think
that's
Dana
gonna
White's
win
going to
him a
have a
lot of
word with
votes.
him. And
Joe's going to get in touch.
yeah, stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Okie dokie. So what do you want to do here? Because we have a decision to make.
No, we don't. We don't have any real paid ads, so we'll just do the next one and then we'll take a break. Unless you really want to take a break now.
No, I could do it whenever you guys want.
Who's next?
100 episodes, still like the first one.
Next is Lex Fridman.
Oh, let's take a break and then we'll do Lex.
Perfect. Okay, Simon.
All right, we're back. 1537, Lex Fridman.
That's correct, Matt.
So can I first say, I'm now certain that Lex has listened to our podcast at some point.
Why do you say that?
Well, because he's clearly very interested in the comment section and how people feel and stuff. So I'm sure if he found out that there were multiple Joe Rogan review shows who had reviewed his episodes. So let's just start by saying, Lex, I'm sorry. You seem like a really, really genuinely nice guy. I'm not sure we'd get along super well. We have very different interests.
Maybe if you fought him.
I'd lose to a fight. He's Russian, first of all.
He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
But he wants to take all comers.
I know.
Let me just-
let's get there. We're not there yet.
Sorry.
Let me just tell all listeners something this is wildly important. Black belt in jiu-jitsu or not, don't fight Russians.
No.
I
I
think
think nothing to lose.
I think we can all agree you should just probably never get in any sort of altercation with a Russian. There we go.
Good advice.
The more you know.
I have to be honest. I predicted Lex Fridman last week, but I had heard him on his podcast say he was going to be on. So.
Oh, you
Oh,
sly
you're
dog.
such a cheating
You
piece of
sly
shit.
dog.
I
that's-
just can't
there's no
believe
cheating.
what am I
Yeah.
supposed to do here?
Hey,
I could just gloated all fucking
No,
episode.
you should have said when you were making the prediction.
Oh no, that's no fun.
Kamar, I also love that you.
I came clean.
I also love that you think one of us would have remembered that you said Lex Fridman and
Yeah.
that you could have gloated all
no,
episode.
he could because people talked about it on the Instagram this week. So I was quite aware that Kamar was correct in his
okay.
prediction. Yeah.
5th appearance. I'm starting to think Lex has something on Joe.
But
And because he's Russian, so Joe, you're going to pretend like you're my buddy, but if you don't, I show the pictures.
you might be right, man.
Like it's a weird relationship. Comfort food, I guess, for Joe.
Because
Hanging out with Lex.
he's on a lot. He's on like clockwork now, almost like it's like changing the filter in your furnace. Like Joe has an alarm on where it's like, Lex has got to be on again.
And I just feel like I thought the Spotify thing there's to be just different guests. Maybe as we said before, it's COVID and just that's a problem getting people. But I feel like there's a rotation of 50 people, and it's sort of bumming me out. Like I need someone I've never heard of before.
I'm trying my best here. I mean, I'm on board that so far this Spotify thing seems like the biggest clusterfuck ever.
And I said that, what if, and you're like, no way, it's going to be fine. But it's like, you don't know till you know.
Well, I'm still going to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's still the beginning of COVID. I'm not there yet. That's all I'm saying.
I cannot see how the empire crumbles, but it just feels like bolts are coming loose. Just like he said, I forget what episode we talked about last week, but he said, when I told Spotify you're doing this, they're like, you are? Like, the Spotify deal was signed thinking the podcast was going to be in LA and stuff, so it's all up there. Who knows what's going to happen? And Lex is just comfort food.
Joe is like that cool counselor at camp that
Cool counselor at camp.
if he likes you, everybody likes you. You know what I'm saying? He vouches for you and all of a sudden you're just cool. Everyone in the camp thinks you're cool.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how
Or everyone thinks you're a right-wing Nazi.
how that shit works.
It goes either way.
I don't know. I have pages and pages. And now that Matt started this whole thing by saying chances are he listens to the podcast, which now that I think about it, he probably does.
I'm giving us way more credit. Like, I said that as a joke. I don't think he actually listens. Are you fucking kidding me?
No. After hearing him threaten to fight people and it was like a Brendan Schaub moment at the end. I don't know if you guys got that where like Joe told him that he couldn't fight anymore. When Joe was like, no, you do this. And he was still fighting Joe. And he was like,
You'd be
no,
surprised.
You have taught. I thought it was very like, it got kind of weird for a
you know
second
what?
there at the end.
Lex, for the Patreon, I'll fight you.
Oh my God. No, you won't.
Yes, you will.
He'll roll you up into a sardine.
That's fine. That'd be fucking incredible for the Patreon.
Anyways, I don't think he actually wants to fight people. He was saying that people on Joe's board were calling him like a beta cuck or whatever.
I really like Lex Fridman. I'm going to say that. And I listen to his podcast. Obviously, that's how I know it was on this podcast. But I don't need to listen to another man, just adore another man. Like, he can still be objective. Like, no matter what his fandom for Joe is, he still brings thoughts and discussion. But it's just, again.
Remember you were saying about Edward Snowden, like, who is this guy? Mm-hmm. That all of a sudden I'm listening to your opinion on the Joe Rogan show. Yeah. And that's kind of what I was driving at, which I guess I missed the point with the cool camp counselor. It's like, okay, maybe once I kind of get Lex is on. He's a robot guy. I get AI guy, whatever. But now 5 appearances in, they never talk about AI. If they do, it's like
because he's out of AI to
he's in a
make his virtual lover.
He's in a podcast now.
He's a podcaster now,
and that's all thanks to Joe. And again, listen, I'm in no position to talk about riding Joe's coattails. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying like. I just look. He came on. He sang. He recited poetry. Like this isn't your own personal fucking.
It is
stomping ground, playground. Like we're all listening to this. We all.
It is for him, and if you listen to his podcast, I
find it selfish. It's weird to me.
Yeah, he's indulging, but if you listen to his podcast, he is smart. They're talking about crazy concepts. You know what I mean? He's better on his own podcast than on the Joe Rogan podcast. As a listener, to critique, like the most interesting thing was when they were talking about the, I hope you thought, the release of alien information.
Sorry, can you repeat that, Kumar?
Well, he was talking about why is the government holding stuff back or not? You know what I mean?
And what did he say?
We thought there'd be nothing more inspirational than letting everyone know there's aliens, we have a spacecraft, you know, to lift up the spirits of everyone. Mm-hmm. And Joe's counter was that, well, you can't tell other superpowers that you have this thing because you're going to start a Cold War. And I mean, obviously you want them to come clean, pictures, demonstrations.
Well, I just think we've come, like, they're there. They're 52% of the way there, and now they're still kind of like playing coy and shit. It's just so government-y, you know?
It's just like I felt
fuck off already.
When Lex was talking, you know, when someone talks, you sort of feel like, yeah, they're putting the question out there that you think too.
I guess more my point is Lex has no more valid information about the aliens than you or I or anybody else. Like, he is not an expert on anything that he talked about in this episode at all. He is just he's a human, you know?
The thing is, I heard him on his podcast talk to the scientist who was talking about aliens physics may work different for aliens. Because they don't even think like us or came into the world on a different... So he has discussions with really smart people. I think he's more of an expert or has more opinion I'd like to hear than
So can I ask
Snowden.
you a question? Why is it then that we don't tend to get more of those discussions on his... He just comes on and drones on about how amazing Joe is and
how bummed he is. No, I guess it's a fault, but he's just a kid... giddy and happy.
He said,
to be
"I'm
there.
so happy that you're on Spotify now. I'll be able to play Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimi Hendrix songs on my guitar." And I was just like, "Yeah, that's what you think, right? That this is good for you, so you can play more music."
Yeah, the music thing. I mean, I think we went over it last time. All this stuff, like he's just
okay. And again, we're not the only people. I'm not the only person who feels this way. If you look at, and again, I know, never look at the boards, but there seems to be this common consensus that like, I'm in agreement. I want Joe Rogan's podcast to be fun. I don't want people to like be scared to say their opinions and shit.
or just be themselves.
But if you're going to go on Rogan and you're not a comedian, if you're a comedian, you get to go on and shoot the shit because you're a fucking comedian. But if you're going to go on there and you're Lex Fridman, who's an AI guy, 90% of the time should be AI stuff. And then if you did a real good job and you want to sing a song and Joe says it's okay, fine.
Dance for us, monkey.
I was just...
That's all I can think, eh?
You totally beat me to it.
But
Fuck.
that's not what I meant.
Well, that's what I heard.
Okay,
but
anyways.
I honestly think Lex Fridman is intelligent enough and objective enough to get off and go, I fucked up again and just fucking fanboyed out. I swear.
I wish that was the case, but then I hear him say things like, no, I think he's totally disconnected from reality. I think he's gotten so like pseudo famous so fast because of Joe saying, I'm the cool. No, he didn't say that. Joe is the cool counselor. And he said, this kid is cool. Like, show him your love. And it built, he has a podcast. He now gets to interview fucking Elon Musk and shit. Like,
I feel like Joe is his only friend.
I mean, maybe.
And so for him, it's not going on a podcast to like demonstrate his knowledge or whatever. It's like to hang out with a buddy. Like, he talks about his mom criticizing him for singing. Even his mom thinks he's a fucking schlep. So, of course, what you're saying is an agreement. I just don't think he can help himself. It's adorable for 15 minutes. But then it's
when you talk about, you know what? I don't know anything about.
Let's just get some new guests, Joe.
I just kept imagining in my head, like at the 3-hour mark, Lex comes in from off stage and is like, "You've been talking to the Lex bot this whole time."
That would
Ta-da!
be a showstopper.
Yeah,
You
that'd
know?
be great.
You know? And then he leaves it for Joe as like a jiu-jitsu / companion.
I thought you were going a totally different direction. I thought you were going to say like he comes in from stage left in like full actor garb and is like, "Joe, if you don't mind, I'm going to do the last act from Baryshnikov's." Like just some next level. Like I'm done with Lex.
He's got to come in. He's got to gush over Joe and like stuff that's happened in past episodes that he's been dying to ask him about. He talks a little bit about combat, jiu-jitsu, health. Check in if Joe's still going keto. Like we're still keto, are we?
Can
Are
we
still
talk
this?
about
Are we still-
Goggins for a second?
mentions Goggins?
No. Not just mentions Goggins. He started doing Goggins things, and then Goggin gets in touch. Like, again,
Yeah, I'm done.
He's in
Joe
too deep.
said he
He's in
was
too
the
deep.
cool kid. He had to figure out a way to stay relevant. Like, I guess maybe I'm being, you see, in my head, I'm like, and I just think this, I don't know this, but I figured like Lex was a really smart fucking AI dude who had a really good job where he could sit around
MIT.
and just be smart for 4 hours at a time or whatever he said he does and all of that. But it seems so thirsty to get famous. Like, I'm confused. I'm totally confused.
I hope it's all just a happenstance and that it's not, that he's like, look at the numbers and trying to grow. It's just happening organically and it's a good ride for him. But it's like he's thrown away everything that made him to become this guy.
Exactly. Like when Lex was on the first time, I loved him. Like if you go back and listen, I don't think I had anything bad to say about Lex first time. You two did.
Touch of Death.
Touch of Death.
I think I might have even backed up a little bit the Touch of Death.
Yeah, knowing you probably did.
I probably did. Like
knowing you.
I'm telling you, I think I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And then every time he's come on, he's like pushed the limit a little more to see what he could get away with. This time he told Joe to fuck off. I thought it was rude.
I don't know. I think
because Joe was trying to Brendan Schaub him and he just wasn't having it.
When he said fuck off, that's when, you have something on Joe. And he's your friend here, like Stockholm syndrome, sort of victim of proof. But he did try to break down the pig and Elon for Joe. He brought some, I mean, as confusing as it was.
Again, the things that he was supposed to be able to enlighten us on, I found like he was lacking.
No, but they're not there yet. He even said it. He's like, I'm not a biologist. I just watched them put something in a pig, and then I watched them take something out. But he's like, that's all.
And the pigs seemed fine, and these pigs were perfectly happy. You don't know shit about those pigs.
He's a pig farmer.
Yeah, maybe Lex was a Russian pig farmer. How the fuck do you know?
You're right. I don't know anything
You don't know jack shit about
I agree
Lex.
with you 100%.
Lex, we're so sorry.
I agree with you 100%. And like I said, I think Lex goes, I talked about myself and my music too much. I'm sure, like, I like Lex.
Just off Lex for 1 second because we're going to get right back to him. But do you guys think it's weird that Africa is so big, right? That everything else fits
all the
in
landmass
onto the map. But on a globe, it's made out to be like maybe just about the same size as North America. Like knowing what we know about the way people are oppressed, it seems like that would be a pretty good way to keep propagating that myth, you know? Just make sure that everything that's taught in schools, make sure that that country always seems a lot lesser than it is.
Well, that's sort of getting into
Or that continent, rather, seems a lot lesser than it is.
That sort of gets into our last guest.
Africa is actually very small. It is the people that are big. It makes it looks very small.
Big hot.
Big hot. Yeah. Well, that was very rude, come on. Many very bad click.
Okay, and then now back to Lex. Sorry.
Yeah, with the pages, Jesus.
I know. I have a whole thing.
It's like
going
Walter
here.
Cronkite over here. Fuck. Do you really just have a shitty old basketball clipboard with a bunch of like random full scap?
Come on, coach.
I thought the clipboard was a cool.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
I was thinking about making it my thing because now I don't have all these journals kicking around. So
I thought you broke it out for the 100th episode.
The ripping of the page and the turning.
We're going high tech with our special effects and our clipboards.
No.
Like he should have an iPad, right?
He should?
And just have his notes that he's flipping through.
Oh my God, you just knocked. He has an iPad too. That's exactly what he should have, Kamar. Yeah.
You want me to use the iPad?
Yeah. And
I can do that.
Wouldn't that look cool?
But wait, then how do I have to type the notes?
No, don't you have a stylus?
Yeah, I can write them.
There you go.
I'll figure it out.
Or type them so they're legible.
One or the other.
The doctor over here.
What else do you have for Lex?
Oh, okay. So
I don't have
I had a
much.
couple of great ideas from my ire from this podcast as I was just getting so angry as I was listening. Like I was getting so frustrated. This couldn't go fast enough. There was no button I had that can make this podcast go fast enough. But it did spark some great. I think I have a best-selling book in the makes, which will then lead to a whole movie franchise. So it's a hybrid of like, let's say a single white female, Frankenstein, and maybe like a little bit of iRobot since we just watched that one. So basically, man falls in love with a famous podcast host, okay? And he changes himself as much as he humanly can to be said famous podcast host. Shaves his head, starts doing, I don't know, the same exercises and hobbies that said podcast host does. And then then the podcast host likes him and maybe even has him on the podcast, but that's not good enough. So then he has to build the Joe bot, like we were saying. Sorry, let me just get to
That would be amazing. I hope he's working on
the
that.
next page of my script. Then the real Joe finds out that he's built this Joe bot, and it's too weird for even Joe. And he's like, listen, sorry, not Joe, the podcast host. And he's like, listen, Lex, not Lex. This is too weird. I like you. We're friends, in air quotes again, but you got to get rid of Joe bot. Like, this is too much, you know? And unfortunately, that leads to the podcast host destruction because
Maybe Joe Bot's already in place. Maybe that's why Lex is on so much.
He's writing this down in his head going, Pulitzer.
And
Wait
then
till they get a load of this.
And then so he
you
has,
notice how he said movie
he
franchise
has
after this best-selling book?
He has to make
Commas.
this Rosemary's Baby decision. Like, do I stay as kind of friends with Joe Rogan or do I be best friends with Joe Bot? He goes with Joe Bot. Joe Bot he now is like, you know, a regular on the podcast like every day.
It's a bona fide page turner.
Joe and Lex. I mean, the podcast host and the Not Lex
It's a
podcast.
bona fide page turner.
End scene.
The end.
Simon, a conspiracy-minded person would argue that Joe Bot has already been in effect since Lex's first appearance. That Lex is just there to do maintenance on Joe Bot.
Now that would make sense. Why? I wonder if we go back and look if it's like a real like.
Well, like think about it. He's doing like
yearly maintenance.
Like you've watched Westworld. He's doing
Exactly.
like continuity checks,
Dude,
right?
That's exactly what he's doing.
So he's asking certain questions, hoping that the answers are in line with as it should be.
I think a better one would be. Hear me out.
Sure, I'm all ears, dude.
Because
We're
I
playing
was
this game. Let's do it.
upset about Planes, Trains, and Automobile with Kevin Hart and Will Smith. A Planes, Trains, and Automobile, Lex Fridman having to get to the Joe Rogan studio because his flight goes down, everything goes down, and just him traversing the country, the people he meets, and he realizes, I don't want to do this anymore, but that's the end of when he gets to the studio.
Is he traveling with Joe Bot?
I think that could be possible.
Well, because if not, there's no way that it's better.
But the journey makes
What if
him...
he's traveling with Tom Papa?
Well, no. Of course, the course of the journey, because Lex cannot meet a girl, his own admission. He falls in love, gets to the door of the studio, and just walks away. Doesn't even go in and doesn't do the podcast. And walks away from all this forever to be in love.
How about this? We go with my whole idea, but at the end, he falls in love, and then he has to decide between the girl and Joe Bot. So again, it's like a double reverse Rosemary's Baby.
That might have legs. My whole point is, at the beginning of the movie, all that matters is to him is to get on this podcast. Yeah. And his plane goes down. And over the course of his travels, he learns it's not all about Joe Rogan.
I like your maintenance
How's his life?
idea.
Of course you do.
I like that maintenance idea.
Sorry, lads.
So just back to the aliens for a second, because it is true. So the government disclosed those videos with a ton of hoopla. Like they used I say they used because I feel like they used the New York Times article to like give it all credibility, and then really didn't tell you anything. They showed you these 3 videos, but there really wasn't like the fanfare that should have been, right?
Doesn't feel like the journalism was done. It was just a statement put out.
It seems like they were doing a expose where
With the information provided
very
by the
little
military.
was
for them.
exposed. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yep. What do you, like, is there a way where everyone on earth just says, we demand to know what you meant by that?
No.
And they go, okay, we'll do it.
There is no way. And you know this because even the presidents don't have fucking access to this shit, man.
Well, this is now, if Trump wins, you know how they say once a president gets to the second term, it's like they let the balls hang out.
Yeah,
You
you
know
know,
what I mean?
feet up on the desk.
Because well, except people criticize Trump says he wants to be president forever, but the idea is that you can't run again, so live it up. So maybe he'll expose some fucking crazy shit. 'Cause he's a crazy, greasy guy.
And that's why I think no matter what, the Americans, this isn't a thing they have or Russia has or anyone else. I think the fact that they even came out with anything should show us that this is something from somewhere else.
That you're saying that was for China and Russia to know something?
Because no, I'm saying if whoever actually had this, if somebody was reverse engineering UFOs and they had this anti-gravity, whatever, this ability to jump from one space to another by thinking it, pretty much, you're not only changing the battlefield, you're like changing the entire sport. You're changing the planet on which the sport is played on. Like all of a sudden you've gone from gravity to no, I mean, in importance, it's, so I think that if the Americans actually thought there was a chance that it was theirs, they wouldn't be coming out and saying they had any information.
Is this more back to Annie Letterman or whatever, Lieberman or what? No, I forget her name, but Joe, you must understand this time. Because she said it was a Russian ship.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't think these are Russian ships. That's what I'm saying. I think these are
German.
That's not to say that Russians aren't working on something. No, I don't think it's German either.
That they get my vote because their engineering was the most advanced.
That's why I was laughing the
I
hardest.
think
Yeah,
they
for
were
sure.
in touch maybe with reverse engineering a long time ago. I just don't think anybody, any human has ever mastered it enough to be able to use it in like combat, let's say. Because if they had, we would have fucking seen it already.
First of all, let me just really quickly, even if we could reverse engineer just the ship, okay, just the technology used to move from point A to point B that quickly, the G-forces involved in moving the human brain from A to B that quickly kill any human being instantly.
Yeah, I'm assuming that there's maybe nobody in those things.
Well, like Lex said.
Or physics affects them differently because they're from.
Is that what Lex said?
Yeah.
But
That too, Kumar, sure. But I just meant that as far as our brain and our body is concerned.
humans going in it, no chance. But you've talked about the Nazi bases under Antarctica.
Yes, he's talked about it extensively.
We've heard about Nazi bases on the moon.
Yes, Simon's also spoken of this.
I mean, so if anyone has that sort of shit going on,
It's the Nazis.
No, look, I can tell
Sad,
you all
but
about
true.
the Nazis, right? Like Werner von Braun is the only reason
there we go. We're back to this.
we got to the moon.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, Simon, if one of these crashed ships, we opened it and there was a swastika?
But what's strange?
Well,
And like everyone had a little Hitler mustache.
so what does that mean, though? Does that mean that they had already reverse engineered it, or you mean that the aliens were Nazis?
No, that like Hitler had successfully sent someone like to colonize, and then by the time they got back, we had defeated the Nazis,
Right.
but they had already gone and colonized the rest of the.
Interesting. And then they were doing the mustache thing to try and be like their ancestors. It's kind of like the
See, you're with
the
me now.
skulls,
Yeah,
which I heard a very interesting.
Save it for the
I
fucking
will.
post,
I'll
Joe.
save it. Remind me.
Nope.
But in the New York Times article, in the New York
At
Times,
least you're honest, you asshole.
in the New York Times article,
Yes, come here.
it was the military,
It was the Navy,
not NASA,
not NASA.
which is a disconnect, right?
Well, I mean, what do you mean?
Well, wouldn't the military want NASA working on this because they know the most? Like, I guess it's counterintuitive.
I mean,
Well, I wouldn't assume
NASA's
NASA knows
working
the
with
most.
Elon.
NASA. Well, hold on. For me, I would assume that NASA is just us trying to send stuff into outer space. I wouldn't necessarily assume that NASA has all the know about. I mean, listen,
well, NASA would like to know about
of course,
these crafts.
I would assume that for sure.
And they do, but I think the reason why the military is involved is
The military's
because
always first.
These things have come into American airspace. They don't know what they are. They've been over nuclear bases. Like that's a threat to
Well, as soon as they jam
Everything.
the shit, it's an act of war. Kamar, you're down by 3 going into the half.
I was going to hold off, but
Oh, I'm sorry, but it's looking good. Like they just scored, so.
I need them to lose.
Oh, you need Detroit to lose?
Yes. Yeah,
well, they're down by 3, so that's good.
sorry. No, I think they have to lose by 7.
Oh, they will. Don't
I
worry.
bet against myself all the time. Well, Matt Rogers, this is his year.
Minnesota's getting crushed.
So, yeah, I really struggled this week because there was just nothing for me. And I think my idea with Simon's collaboration of Planes, Trains, and Automobile would be a great movie, so we'll do Planes, Trains, and Automobile.
We're doing the movie game?
Fun.
We're doing the movie game.
okay.
Movie game.
Story of 2 strangers
Ba-ba-dee-da-ba.
tied together who have to get across the country by plane, train, or automobile.
Are we doing the original or the remake?
Well, the remake isn't out, so we'll be doing the original.
Well, I thought we might be doing a future earnings episode.
And I just want to say this is one of the funniest movies I ever saw at the time. It was just so funny. Rest in power, John Candy.
Fucking legend. All right, the year first.
It's the movie game where Simon and Matt go head to head. Figure out what year a movie came out, the budget, and the box office.
Okay, are you ready for a year, Matt?
Yeah,
I said 1985.
I said 88.
Directed by John Hughes, 1987. There.
Okay.
And we love John Hughes, 60 Candles, The Breakfast Club. I think this might have been his last act before he died. Starring Steve Martin and John Candy. Music by Ira Newborn. Cinematography, Donald Peterman.
Yeah, I mean, the cinematography is definitely what stands out in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
We're all over the place with how much movies make.
Okay, I guess I'm
I'm
ready.
not. I'm nowhere close. I haven't written a thing down here. Man, this is tough.
You guys never get the year right. We might have to get within one. Is a half point.
No.
All or nothing. That's
Yeah.
what I like to see. This is not 100 movie games, sadly.
All right, I'm ready. I'm so far off, but I'm ready.
Okay.
You never know.
I don't know where I'm at either.
You go first, Simon. I was
go.
closest on the year.
So I said it cost $15.7 million to make, and it grossed $119 million.
Wow. I said it cost $10.9 million to make, and it made $31.2 million.
Wow, it was a different time. It cost $30 million to make,
I'm fucked.
and the box office was $49.5 million.
Oh my God.
So you're in there with the 50, but this is what that listener said. It's got to be a percentage sometimes. 1 point for Matt, none for Simon.
49 point what?
If it made $160 million, it'd be like the biggest movie ever.
That's what I was saying. Is I just didn't think it would cost $30 million to make. I thought.
You just got when you're in the 80s though. You got to change everything down. There's
But
still
I mean, I went
blockbusters,
10
but
though. That was the thing. Is I
Yeah,
figured,
no.
Can I tell you another?
You got to think their salaries.
I still just 87. Go ahead, Simon.
I had an idea for a Black Mirror episode while I was listening to this nonsense.
Okay.
So we figure out a way to put our soul / consciousness into some sort of android when this meat bag runs out. Okay. And we all kind of then have to fall into 2 classes. Like, there'll be some people whose wives love them so much that the idea that they were going to die was too much, and that now they're still alive in consciousness and soul, that they'd be willing to put up with the fact that they're now, hugging a cold metal android and fucking a dildo. In essence, right? Because that android would then have like a rubber cock and all of that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Anatomy is
Dude,
important.
what the fuck were you doing?
So weird the details, yeah. Because I don't think that has anything to do with it.
But go ahead.
Well, it does.
But you have to-
It
if so
totally
asked.
does, because listen, if you're a lady, let's say, or no, even the other way around, right? Like, let's say your significant other has to go into this robot android body. So imagine like a iRobot type of situation. So, but they're not real.
Well, then do you have any trouble cheating at that point?
And then you're fucking a pocket pussy. In essence, you know what I mean? I mean, it's more than that, but it is that.
A fleshlight that's been
So you'd have to
connected.
really love the person to put up with the fact that
like I
they're
said,
no longer human.
Couldn't you cheat at that point without any sort of feeling bad?
Well, why? Because the soul still exists. Anyways, let me finish just
Wouldn't you just
before
move on and
jump
meet
in.
someone else?
And then, well, that's just it. There'll be some women or men who are like, no, you died. I'm done with you. I now get to go out and live my life and fuck real humans
I
with
think there'd be
real
a
dicks.
real-
But does
you know?
my
percentage.
does my android with a dildo get to go around and fuck other people too?
If it's
Well,
programmed
I
to have
mean,
that desire.
It's not programmed.
But it's my soul in there, right?
Yeah, it's a.
So I can still-
for all intents and purposes, it's a person. It's just a robot person.
I mean, listen, if
But
they've
it's
made
a
it that good,
very,
I'm sure
like-
my robot dick is going to have some sensation in it. So,
Again, it's like a whole reverse Rosemary's Baby.
And this is your idea for an episode of Black Mirror, and you brought it to us for us
I'm
to punch
gonna
holes in
get
it.
what's her name to come back and play the robot, Miley Cyrus.
I think that would be almost archaic or whatever. I think it'd be more like the one where the two dudes fuck each other in the video game.
my favorite episode.
I think you totally missed.
So you'd have I think
So I would miss that.
the virtual reality would be the
It was your favorite
technology.
episode.
You would actually download it into a thing. You just go to a place and then you're interacting with that person.
Yeah, but you're a human being.
Yep.
And you want to be able to go out to eat with your significant other in the real world.
Strap on the Googles,
in the
put on the...
in the real world.
No.
What do you mean no? And you're
The
shaking your
ob-
head.
the-
I made this episode.
And I think
No.
you're thinking...
No, you didn't.
I am God of this episode.
And I think you're-
decide the rules of the world.
The episode
I believe
isn't
you're
made yet.
thinking like a caveman with technology, like augmented reality.
No, but what I'm saying.
Real. It's
You
virtual reality.
Yes, but you still want to, in real life, your sister still gets married and you want to take your husband to the wedding. You can't say to your sister, hey, let's do your wedding in virtual reality because my husband is gone.
It's a very specific example, but there's more examples where you could do in virtual
No,
augmented
that's
reality.
only if we all live in virtual reality.
And we all will as we're heading towards the simulation.
In my example, we don't. It's an iRobot type of scenario.
I think it's a great story.
I don't think you do.
I hope to see it on Black Mirror.
Okay, can we
Anyways, I thought
fucking
it
just
was
rate
good.
Lex and move on? Because we're doing a lot of post-Joe stuff here.
You can,
Unless I'm crazy.
yeah.
It's like he has one note per sheet. Like it's
No, he's got many things written, but there's whole things just thrown away. Like he's got to cut so much. Could you imagine if we went through every note?
no, we'd be here forever.
Oh yeah, this was the other. Can we this? So this is how it ended. Okay, so it was the whole Brendan Schaub thing. Joe was telling him, "Don't read any more.
Yeah,
Negative
stop
comments?
reading the comments. Yeah.
Don't read the comments." And Lex said, "No, Joe, you do not understand. I'm going to change the way people act on the internet."
Nope.
And then I thought to myself, okay, so
Delusions of
he
grandeur.
got on Joe, and they hurt his feelings really bad, and he Lex Luthered. He like thought to himself, okay, not only I'm going to change the way the internet works, you know, and then everybody's going to be nice to me on the Joe Rogan boards.
What's the Lex Luthor connection? I thought you could do a kryptonite analogy or
Kind of
something.
like plotting to, you know, change the internet.
For the better with good intentions.
Yeah, I know, but still, you know, absolute power corrupts absolute.
It was weird when he said, I think everyone working,
Just some
he said,
random-
everyone working on AI and technology, for the most part, has good intentions.
Yeah, for the most part, doesn't help me sleep at
No,
night there.
because you just need that one guy who has bad intentions who fucking
Did you not?
launches Skynet.
Did you not see the guy? Did you not see? There's a company in China called Skynet.
I'm not surprised. I did not see that though.
When they asked, so they were interviewing an employee, and they were like, "Has the creator of the company seen Terminator?" And they were like, "Yes, it is one of his favorite films." And it's like, well, what are we doing here then? Like,
We're just waiting for the robot overloads. I do like the poem if he read. I do like that poem.
I think it's I think there is definitely some like foreshadowing in the fact that Elon used pigs, like pigs,
Animal Farm?
pigs to the slaughter.
Oh.
No. And again, you asked where we are, Matt. We're in a place where we're begging for them to fucking put the bolt in the back of our heads. Not only are we begging
hilarious.
for it, we're paying for it.
Haven't heard anyone beg for it. I have not seen a single person
wait,
pay for it.
Man, wait until there are lineups outside of fucking Tesla dealers of people just
Simon, there are people that want to go to Mars, one-way trip.
yeah.
That's not
Let us
crazy
go
or
to
big.
Mars. Give us our injections of fucking chips.
It's
We gotta get out
time
of here.
for everyone to do mushrooms and watch The Wall again.
I love that you think that you sound like the grounded one in all conversations. That's the best part.
I think he sleeps like that too. I'm the most normal person in the world.
He does, yeah.
I definitely don't think I'm the most normal person in the world.
I
think
don't know.
that
I think you say that, but you're like, even though I'm saying I
if
don't
there
think of that,
was
I
an
know
issue
because
out of all of the people you know, I'd probably be the most logical about it.
Can we fucking rate this episode, please, and be done with this?
I think you think you're the average man. I do think you're logical though, and you can reason for sure. But you're an outlier.
I think he can logic
You're
and
special.
reason. I
You're
think there are
special.
times
Listen,
where
I
he
choose to have
chooses.
fun every now and again with some theories. And just back to Lex for a second.
Luther or
No,
Friedman.
Fridman. I always thought there was an E in there. Friedman, but it's not. It's Fridman. Frid. Anyways, I think that if it's not that I don't like him. It's that I feel like he's on Joe for the wrong reason. And if he would just come on once every 3 years and talk about new advances in his line of work, I would be all for that. And I would cheer him like I did the first time he was on when you guys shot on him.
But his humility was even like almost got sad because he put out the dead grandmother card. You know what I
the
mean?
other thing.
But then he was like, she's probably shitting on me too for this. So like he knows what he's doing isn't what he should be doing. He's just living his best life.
In closing, let me ask you both this. Do you think he shows up and is like, because I know what this is like. Do you think he shows up and in his head is like, okay, Lex, no poem. No poem. I know you have 4 poems in the sack waiting to go, but Lex,
That's what I said.
no poem. You can do this. You can get all the way, no poem. And then literally, like, he's at the end and he's like, Lex, you fucking did it. You got there. But hey, Joe, how about one quick you know what I mean? And that's like,
That's what I said. He can't help himself. In his head, he's like, don't do it. Don't do it. Be true to yourself. Don't do it. Just be true to yourself. But I imagine Lex walking the studio, purple nerdling Jamie, slapping a secretary's ass, just like he owns the place. You know? Hops in the float tank for 5 minutes.
I don't think that is the case though, Matt. Just
Throws off a couple bows.
I think he has like kind of like Adam Curry had a list of things he needed to do. That's how Lex goes in. He's like, this is what I need to say while I'm on here. And this is my time on Joe Rogan. And I'm going to say these things. And I think that we would all be better served if he went on, like, thought more of it like, everybody's listening to me. This is my chance, not only to like fulfill all my dreams, but to like make this a great podcast for everybody listening.
Yeah, Lex can only be Lex.
That's what everybody should be doing every time they go on Joe Rogan.
It's gotten too big. It was different before. Is anyone even listening to this? It's too big. People are way too self-aware. I've said this for a year now.
But he shouldn't be, because this is his 5th time on. He's a regular. Like, act like you've been there before, right?
Well, then the most amazing thing that can come from this is he does listen to this and comments on our YouTube
And didn't
video.
he do this
Can
last
you
time?
please rate it? We've given him 40 minutes.
Yeah,
it's a
sorry.
2-hour podcast.
Sorry.
We've given this guy way too much. He doesn't even have an E in his name.
He was a 3-hour. I know he stays. We're doing 3.
Oh, I know.
There's no way I'm getting off.
For sure.
I give this one a 1.5.
I agree with you 100%, but I like Lex. He is what he is. I give it 2.5.
And I'll meet in the middle. I'm going to give it a 2. Lex, you seem like salt of the earth. Great dude. I wish you all the best. Too soon.
He will be on again, and he'll be the exact same frustration, and it'll almost become a meme.
I feel like one day Tom Pop is going to show up with a loaf of bread and Lex Fridman's going to pop out of the bread like a stripper.
Or with a better loaf of bread.
Oh, there you go. Even better.
Ultimate fanboy.
He talked about being in the back of the Comedy Store watching this like most important moment in comedy. You know what I mean? And I'm wondering to myself, like, I guess I'm just a jealous hater because
He's doing a lot of things that
he's
you'd like
doing
to do.
a lot of things. Well, I not really, because I don't want to be on Joe Rogan. I have no interest in that. I actually don't at all want to. It's the last thing I would want. I don't want to be famous. I don't want any of that shit.
But you want to be in the back of the Comedy Store.
I mean, I would love to have been there. I mean, yes, there are things he did.
And you may never get to go there.
It's kind of a great story though if you think about it. Like the MIT nerd though,
Yeah.
who ends up, with the biggest jock and arguably one of the most well-known jocks in the world.
I should have done Revenge of the
chumming it
Nerds.
up.
I should have. Maybe you did
You
last
should
time
have
it was
done
on.
Revenge of the Nerds.
But yeah, I'm up in mine to 3. Lex, do you? It didn't do much for me, but
Does Lex smoke
you do you.
weed? No, right?
No.
That's the problem.
Yes,
That's
he's rigid.
the
He's
fucking
rigid.
problem.
He's
Yeah.
rigid.
No,
The suit too. The
right
suit
there. That's
suit
the
bothers
problem.
me.
Well, because if he smoked weed, he wouldn't wear the suit. He'd be like,
true.
I should be wearing sweats.
But
when I
how
do it."
great if down the road he comes back, long hair, dirty clothes, just sort of like
I'll say this.
does mushrooms and finds himself.
The suit would be fine if he did smoke weed. I think if he was sitting there smoking reefer, there'd be something endearing about it. Either way. Lex, do you? I don't care if you don't smoke weed.
Do you? Whatever.
He's way smarter than I am. Can we please move on now?
Yes. 1538. Douglas Murray.
Douglas Murray.
At first, I thought this was Taquisha or whatever the fuck.
Taquisha.
Took me a little bit.
Oh, the one who wrote with the
Titania?
pseudonym
Tatiana?
No, yeah,
Yeah.
no.
What's weird about this one is it was the last one of the week, but
Recorded like 2 weeks ago.
we remember Joe saying,
I have a UK Skype. Yeah.
and then Snowden came out. This came out.
So that was it. Because Simon and I had a discussion about it. Simon and I had a discussion. I was like, Snowden must have been in the UK.
Yeah, that's what I initially thought, and then I went, "Oh, not Douglas Murray on the Skype." But it's like I'm just lost.
So this one is.
I just wanted to go back to what it was: live stream.
Again, I don't
No
care
one's
about.
listening.
I don't really care about live. I don't. That doesn't. But like, put it out the day of.
It
this
has
whole
to be day of. It cannot be. No, the live is fine. Everybody has a right to have a 5-second delay.
Yeah. I didn't mean. I meant the day of.
Yeah,
like,
But it
just-
has to be day of. This is crazy now.
It's crazy. I don't know where I am.
We're talking like wondery shit.
We're going
now,
back in
you
time to
know?
listen to
This-
podcasts
This is
somehow.
not what we want. This
Yeah,
is
we're
not
doing
what we want.
throwbacks unintentionally.
Yeah, it's not what we want.
But what I wanted to say about this one is, I complained last week about how every guest has a half hour where they got to talk about society and these people, and now we have 2.5 hours of it. And it's a re-release of his book, which I thought was sort of sketchy. He's not even come up with a new book.
His book is the
He's added some
the
things,
madness of crowds.
Good on him for that, to resell a book.
Yeah.
Just
And-
if anybody is interested. The madness of crowds.
And obviously, you guys assume I agreed with everything they said. It was just sort of like, yep, sounds about right.
Joe got out of Cali just in time before these fire tornadoes, though, eh? Did anybody think about that?
That, I think, was just dumb luck.
No, dumb luck. I mean, maybe.
It's funny, though, he got burned by fires in this episode,
Yes.
which we already talked about. Like,
did.
that's really what ended up coming out of this podcast.
Some bullshit.
All the content's right about, like he said, and I think we said it when the pandemic happened, was that saner heads will prevail. You know what I mean? Now that we're going through this pandemic, we see how fragile the structure of life and society is. Everyone's going to chill out about what's important.
What are you saying? That's not at all what happened.
That's what he came on to say. He said, I thought
Oh, I
when this
see.
pandemic happened, I agree.
Well,
emphatically
there
with
was
everything
for
they
sure
say.
a time I can remember, like explicitly on the podcast, Joe saying, the one nice thing about COVID is nobody is like the Me Too thing has disappeared. And then a week later, it was like tripled down on, and then all shit broke loose. You know?
And this guy sort of communicates it in a real dire way. Like, he feels a cultural revolution is coming where many people will die. There wasn't anything that he put forward that I couldn't, that I disagreed with. And that's the madness of the world and submitting to crowds. And I listened to it twice to hear what Joe said, and it's so innocuous I didn't even hear it.
I didn't hear it either. But I will say
he
this.
said exactly what they accused him of saying.
I know, but in conversation, you're trying to hear it, but it's like because you're not thinking, oh, there's no way that happened.
He said that people on the left got arrested for setting fires in Oregon.
And what harm does that do if that didn't happen?
That was it.
That is painting the left, throwing shade on the left. So you can't just do that for no reason, unfoundedly. People got defensive.
It was so innocuous. It was just part of a conversation. Joe says way more inflammatory lies than that one.
100%.
If it was a lie.
But he doesn't go on Instagram with his hat in his hand going, I'm so sorry.
Dude,
I spoke out of turn. It's just bizarre.
When I saw that, I was like, what the fuck is going on
That's not my
here?
guy.
What
I
is
thought it was
going
not
on
my
I
here?
honestly thought it was a joke. I had to watch it 3 times
To realize
to like
he's
look
serious.
for the.
It was akin to Brian Callen's
It was weird.
denial of rape allegations.
It was weird.
Joe has here. Let's just talk about Brian Callen for 1 second, okay?
I meant that guy.
Here we go.
Joe has such a huge podcast,
Too big.
that he can almost, unlike anybody else, fight back against like the unfairness maybe of a Me Too mob. Just hear me out. Let's just say he had done this differently and was like, Brian's going to be my guy. I'm going to stand up for him. Not only that, every single episode, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to fight the Me Too, you know? I'm going to fight them. If they're unfairly taking my boy out, I'm going to use my platform to fight the unfairness. That's what you should be using your platform for if you're Joe.
So do you think he thinks he's guilty?
Well, obviously.
Well, I
Or he
think
knows it?
I think it's
Obviously. I have no other idea what it could be.
I think it's
Sorry.
bad for you just to draw that conclusion just based on
I agree.
your feeling. We can hope for the best. It's sort of like, you know, when you a lie or something, the longer you get, the harder it gets to tell. So he didn't do anything, and now there's no point to do anything. It's just sus if he says anything. But he had that position before. He's now joined a company that hates him and is trying to overthrow him.
Why was Spotify the one who banned Brian Callen?
Spotify is really upset. Like we were talking about that closed door meeting that got out. They're like, I don't know where my place is in this company if you're going to let this transphobic,
but we
misogynistic piece of shit work here. Like,
Hold on. We also don't know. That could be, again, a very vocal minority. That could be 3 people up there at Spotify that feel that way. And again, Spotify, you never know, could take especially now that they went to the press, Spotify could easily just go to those 3 people and go, guess what? You don't fit in here very well.
I think it's not that case, and that Spotify is a really progressive company. Like
Yeah.
they started in music or whatever, arts.
I agree they are a progressive company, but I'm saying if you think they're going to take Joe down because, dude, they spent so much fucking money and they made so much money, and believe me, the money will talk at the end of the day on this one.
Yeah, we're going to see real shortly. That's the beauty of this one is actually going to play itself out right in front of our eyes.
But they should be like, yeah, I work for a company. So what? We have Joe Rogan. We also have this. Like,
Oh, I couldn't agree with that more. Yeah.
and be open minded, like they say. But apparently, that's not the case.
Well,
It's just weird. We're de-platforming all this. He's on a platform, and his actual platform, there's whether it be vocal, a minority or majority, who are trying to de-platform him.
I think it's crazy.
I'm
that,
sure it was
like,
the same the case at YouTube as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
There are lots of people like, fuck this Joe Rogan guy.
I will say this though. This guy, I can't just sit here and be like, I agreed with everything this guy said, and I find it tough to believe that you agreed with everything, Kamar. Like he was talking about soccer players kneeling for the anthem, and he was like, if the crowd was there, they wouldn't be doing that. And first of all, a lot of soccer players are people of color, like a ton of them, and the UK has a huge racism problem within soccer.
But I think what I got out of what he's saying is it's weird that this is just now a thing, that we acknowledge the world is racist and we all have to do better. Every sporting event. And it's not like, will there be a point where we stop doing that? Or is it just, this is now a thing? Like it's weird in that we only give Remembrance Day one day. And I'm telling you, remember the soldiers, those wars that are fought is way more important than people's feelings or racial injustice or police brutality. Like, it's like he said, if you teach people they're victims, then they grow up victims. You know what I mean? Everyone wants to change history.
Sure.
And they booed in Texas or Kansas City when they stayed in. So he's correct.
Yeah, but I mean, again,
It's happening.
just to say, yeah, but okay, but just because places boo them kneeling does not mean. I mean, you could argue that the people booing are racist, couldn't you?
You would probably have to assume, but you can't say a whole majority. Like some of them are booing them just because they would boo the opposing team. Just the bad guys, not out of race, but I don't know. I think it's weird that all these sporting events now take a moment for Black Lives Matter every.
Listen, there's a guy I play video games with who swears up and down he's not racist. He's from Texas. This guy is definitely a little bit or very racist. And he immediately was like, if the Dallas Cowboys, if any one of them kneels, I'm boycotting the season.
Bad people don't know they're bad
That's
people.
a little out of control. But I mean, I understand the like basketball, let's say, they're all wearing the Black Lives Matter, but they can't put anything about freeing Uyghur Muslims. You know?
Well, the NBA is fucking.
No, that's a huge
But again,
problem.
I mean,
That's a
the
huge
NBA
problem.
is, or the NFL is the same. Like they're all bought and sold. It's a money issue. It's not really a helping anybody issue. Anytime they're doing
No,
this,
hold on. Stop. That's not true. There's a lot of black people that play football. There's no Uyghur Muslims that play football or basketball. They're
But I
trying to
bet
help their own.
Not all black athletes all agree on this 100% across the board. In any event, it's more like the party line, like do this. But side door is like, I don't fucking care. I'm rich. All lives matter. You know, there could be black guys saying that.
Sure.
I don't think it's just 100%. But we have, like this guy said, everyone said, okay, Black Lives Matters here, and we have to take a moment for every. You know, it's like here when anyone does a speech, they have to now give credit to the unceded land, almost like an apology that we're here doing this to the tribes that are there. That is just like any government speech in Canada. They don't do that in America. This is their version. And you can't take it away until all racial injustice stops, right?
What do you mean you can't take it away? What are we talking about? You can't
I don't
take
know
away
if baseball
kneeling?
does it, but it's more than just kneeling. There's a speech put, like it's kneeling is fine on the individual. It's the whole corporate world implementing this.
Well, yeah, they're just trying to make money.
well, that's what I just finished saying.
And that's
I
what
get it,
and that's
but-
what this guy said is some of these people making you do stuff, it's disingenuous.
It's
Yeah.
like anything else.
some of them it's
the
not.
good movements always get co-opted by
course.
shitty people. Like this is how human beings are, especially the ones who like the whole Gary V mentality, right? Like, not that he's a bad guy. I'm just saying you find something that's popular and you work the peripheries. Like that's just the way things work, you know?
Yeah, my original point was just that I didn't necessarily agree with this guy that just because the fans would be booing at a British Premier League soccer game doesn't mean that the black and white players on the field kneeling aren't doing the right thing or that they don't think they're doing the right thing. And again, you can sit there and argue that even if 50% are booing, then at least the other 50% know who those 50% are and can go, okay, well, that guy's probably going to throw bananas at a fucking player or, you know what I mean? Listen, I've seen some ugly shit at fucking soccer games.
That seems almost worse, and that's been going on for years, but it was I guess, George Floyd's death.
Yeah, no, that prompted the
snapped it
States. Yeah.
No, around the world.
Sure. Yeah, you're right. But what I'm saying is like,
But soccer is especially heinously racist.
Agreed.
Like,
Well,
you don't see football games in the States where people are throwing bananas out onto the field.
that's
you
my
know?
point.
Like,
And I think,
so if anything, sorry, go ahead.
well, no, I didn't want to cut you off, but that was my point is I found that one to me seemed a little bit egregious because if anyone could use a little
A
bit
kick
of
in the ass. It's these
the fucking
guys.
English. Yeah.
I agree with that, but I also agree with this idea of like, you know, you're sitting in a restaurant and all of a sudden people have stormed in and they're demanding.
Oh,
that
I
you
agree. I
sw-
couldn't agree with that more. That's
you can't-
insanity.
We've said
Can't
this all
force that
along. You
upon
can't
people.
force your you can't force your allies. You're going to create enemies, not friends,
And
right?
you just-
and if you're too dumb to see that, like you're just part of the problem. You
Even
know?
then, you don't want that. It's fake. You don't even want that person
this
there
is- this
because
is what I
the
mean.
person standing beside you forced upon
on
you.
no level does that work for you. The only thing that can happen there is you've created an enemy.
Think about it like the battlefield. If you are on the battlefield, if you're on the front line, you want every single person beside you to have the same commitment and the same feeling of like camaraderie, or else if half of them don't feel the same way you do, then once the real fighting starts, those fuckers are gone. And those are not the people you want there.
Yeah,
you want nothing
they're
but
just thinking all I got to do is outrun the bear.
that's it.
Or sorry, is outrun you.
You, yeah.
But now we're in a position where the battlefield is people saying everything's not perfect, but we should try to make it better. Or no, everything's fucked. We have to burn the whole thing down and start over.
Well, that seems like two choices. Like there needs to be some. Then that's the whole third party argument, right? Like,
But can we not agree that there are certain things that we do need to just burn down and start again? And I'm not saying the whole thing, but there are things that we have just fucked up so royally that I think we should go back and look at from the beginning.
He said there's things we're doing right now. I wish he had named them that we're going to look back and go, what we're doing there for sure. But I think he's saying through history, burning stuff down isn't the way to do it.
Listen, the best point he made was this. Even the most progressive person right now, if you look at yourself and you think, I am the most progressive person alive today, if you wait 100 years, someone will look back at you as a bigoted piece of shit. That's undeniable. So the whole like I use the founding fathers as an example. Like if you want to look at them and be like they were slave owners and they were pieces of shit, like, okay, I can get there with you. That's fine. But they were still the most progressive of their day and trying to advance it. So you can't take away that from them, because trust me, one day someone will come for you, and one day you will be looked at as some bigoted, hateful piece of shit for something that today is like a super innocuous, like a wildly innocuous thing.
I think you can't burn it down because you have to learn from your mistakes. But his example that they got rid of a bell
Yeah, that's insane.
because it may have been rung
he said you can't
at a
burn
plantation.
You can't burn it down because after the riots and after the fires and after everything, you inherit rubble. So you got to be smarter about it.
Yeah, but
You know
when I
what
say
mean?
burn it down, you start again. You just take the good things.
I understand,
that you all
but
agree
I
with.
think what
There's a group of people who want
Yes,
to,
I
to burn
understand.
it to
burn
the
it
ground.
down.
Yes,
what
I
he
get
was
it.
saying is don't be stupid about it. Use their scaffolding and help put up your new walls.
I
But
also think, again, it's a vocal minority that wants to burn the whole thing down. And I think you can agree with that too.
I don't know anymore. Hearing about this, Spotify wants to get rid of Joe. If it's vocal minority, then you're correct. But it just seems like there's more and more. Say 5 years ago, when I remember seeing people.
Let me ask, hold on, just let me cut. Well, no, but I have to cut you off there. Do you really think that after giving him, Simon thinks it's $300 million. Do you really think that after 2 weeks, they're going to just walk away from giving him?
Yeah,
Because
so what do
they'd
you-
be in breach of contract and they'd have to pay him that money.
what do you think
sure.
is going to happen?
That
Kumar?
happened
Sorry.
to Ninja. They
What
gave
do
him $100 million, and 2 months later they walked away. Got his $100 million. This happens in business.
But that's different. They went. They were absolved as
They're
a
a
company.
billion-dollar company. Well, that is different, but shit happens in business.
They'll come to an understanding.
He might get his $300 million if this goes 6 months.
All right, maybe. I mean, I'm with you with shit happens in business for sure.
Then the CEO sits down like, that was a bad decision.
I thought you said the CIA. I was like,
CIA.
oh, did we have a slip of the tongue there?
Nothing's impossible. We think it's so much money, no one can walk away with this, but shit happens, man.
Okay, maybe, you know what, Kamar? Maybe you're right. I can't say no. It would seem to me that they're not a big enough company to walk away, to make that offer, and then 2 weeks, a month later, based on a few, what I believe is a few.
We'll see. There's some stuff in here. I'll talk about the poster after. Maybe this is just some rumblings, and then it's all going to be smooth sailing out of this. All I wanted to say is I remember like 5 years ago noticing social justice warrior stuff. Like people just posting, well, especially our friend, the king. The king who brought himself down, as it always happens.
Yeah.
Compo. And I remember
We'll just say
DJ
it now.
Indian.
Who gives a
Yeah,
fuck?
I don't know. He came out. I just noticed it. Like, you're really sticking up for someone like that. Just
Me?
no, not
Oh.
you. Him. Anyone. Just fighting on the behalf of whatever cause it is. Like, do you really think you're affecting change? And I thought, oh, you think you're doing right. It is what it is. But it has. There's more and more and more and more. I run into people who are like, oh, you actually think like that, like.
I mean, I will say this.
Wokeness.
I hate to play this Diablo avocado. He did change some things for the good. Like he got a local high school team to change their logo from something that was,
And that's, think globally, act locally.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. But trying to change the world one tweet at a time. I don't know.
I get, but what I was going to say is you could argue that for every small city that changed a logo like that, it led to the Washington team changing, you know.
And someone who does a positive change might not be a good person.
Well, again, it goes back to that Kendrick song. You know
That's exactly what it goes back to.
Yeah.
Prayer.
What a great song, huh?
Yeah, it was a great song.
It really was.
We'll see though if it's
By the way,
comes out in like
I
sort
just-
of Dr. Dre fashion.
I just want to throw this out. Two people, I don't remember it at all. Simon doesn't remember it either. You made some comment about some rapper, and
Oh fuck! I thought you'd forget about that. You don't know who it is still.
No,
Right?
we don't know
they
what just say
hold on. His
who
name
is
is
it?
Tom McDonald. Oh, is it?
Why are you not
Yeah,
saying
what's
it?
going
What is
on?
going on?
Because I'm embarrassed.
Oh, because you listened to him?
Have you looked at him?
Oh, he's
I don't even know
terrible.
what
Oh,
you're
of course
talking
he's
about.
terrible. But I was like,
It's terrible.
I heard this guy gave him this idea, and you're like, let's see the guy. It's like, no.
Okay, I
no
don't remember
reason.
it now.
Just the idea. Just the idea. It doesn't matter where it comes from.
Now I remember. Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't matter where it comes from. It's just a kernel of an idea.
Yeah.
But if I show you
Yeah, you're right.
where it came from,
Yeah. Boom.
you throw me up the
You've
door.
lost
You're right.
all credibility.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
I just,
Nice work,
I
Kumar.
just brought it up, and then I was like, oh, I shouldn't have brought that up because you're like, well, cite your source. And then it goes out the window. But
Because,
it's
dude,
still-
someone posted a link to one of his videos, and I got like 35 seconds in. And you know what? The face tattoos, whatever, the hair, like none of that. I don't give a shit about any of that. I am a fan of rap music. And about 30 seconds in, I was like, I just can't.
No, he's like a weird like anti-social justice warrior, but he's Canadian.
No fucking way.
He's Canadian
Is
from
he?
Vancouver, so I think he's a rich
Of course
kid.
he is. Of course he is. I mean, good for him. He's obviously got fans.
Separate.
Two separate people came on the YouTube and were like,
Exposed me.
yeah, they were like, this is the guy. Dude, I didn't even remember. I said
I don't know who you are, but
I still didn't know what they were fucking talking
there's
about.
no reason to do that to me, guys.
there's no reason.
You see that Trump is retweeting Joe Rogan clips now?
Well, that was the
When
weirdest
he
clip ever, though.
badmouths Biden in like comedy bits. He's like taking them and
No,
using
that
them.
wasn't what he posted.
Yeah, that's what Joe said.
No, he took the Mike Tyson clip. That's
Oh,
one
the
he
Mike
did.
Tyson clip. Sorry.
It was
Yeah.
Mike Tyson saying, I get aroused at the thought of violence.
Joe's gotten too big. I just noticed it like in the last
Out of
6 months.
but no context.
So
Hold on,
what's
what's
to
Kumar saying?
stop him from? Sorry, Kumar.
I was just gonna say we'd listen to episodes, and then I'd see an article, and I'd say, "Oh, that's similar to something they talked about." But then I'd open it, and it was just someone listening to the Joe Rogan Experience and regurgitated. It was like, "What's going? It's getting too big."
What's to stop Trump from just retweeting Joe Rogan clips where he's bad mouthing, making a joke about? I was positive that he said that, and then gave an example of the joke he said about Biden being.
No, I'm pretty sure
old
the
or
only
something.
thing he retweeted was Tyson saying.
If somebody out there is actually listening to us and they want to confirm that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, the big deal I was going to talk about the post show, but now we're here. Is that Tim Kennedy posted? I think Joe Rogan should moderate Biden, Trump,
Yeah, and Trump said I'm in.
and Trump said, "I
yeah,
do."
we talked about this
How?
last
I
week.
thought, I thought we mentioned that
on
last
the,
week.
on the post show. Did you see the picture though?
I think it happened after that.
It's a Photoshop picture of Joe in the new studio, Trump on one side, Biden on the other. I'll show it to you. It looks so fucking real that when it came up on my Instagram feed, I thought this was happening.
Oh, I don't think he's gonna. I don't.
No,
think
of
Biden's
course
gonna-
not. They're not going to be in his studio. Even if it did happen, which it won't, it would be a
The
Skype
security
thing.
alone would be a fucking nightmare.
That's why it would have to be a Skype thing. It would. They have to. They
you can't get that many Secret Service in that little
And they're
bunker
not
of a
going
fucking.
to his studio. That's not where they would do it. You know,
But
No, it's true. They
it,
wouldn't.
it just feeds
it
my
would have
narrative
to be in a place they could monitor. Sorry.
that has gotten too big. In that, like, for diehards, I think that we're going through a tough time right now. All this change and stuff to the
I think he's
podcast that we
lost.
had,
I think he's lost 80% of like diehard day oneers.
and now there's so much in the news and so much mentions. Sure, he's got tons of downloads and stuff, but it's
Watching Joe apologize was like one of the most surreal things I've ever seen.
if not for this, I think I'd have to boycott him.
Can I tell you though? I got to be honest.
Interesting.
I'm going to go back to what I said before about him finally seeing the Spotify numbers. I have a feeling he might be also full of regret because he might have been like, I could have just put my shit on Spotify like every other podcast in the world, taken those download numbers and like quadrupled my fucking
Ad revenue.
my ad revenue overnight.
Or
And
just gone to Patreon and have
all
my
I would
own
ha-
island.
Or that, and all I would have had to do is click one button, just like everyone else in the world. Oh, we're on Spotify. Boom.
Instead
And
he
then
signed a deal with the devil.
you don't need a deal. You just put it up there, and then literally, because I'm telling you, we're about to hit 4 million downloads total, and 89% of those are from Spotify.
Oh, we're Spotify through and through. I wonder if this decision to join Spotify when it happened was like aggravated or sped up because of the COVID or something. All of a sudden, it's like, well, who knows what's going to happen? I got to make a move. Like, I just think as things are progressing, this is just, he's flying by the seat of the pants. And at the end of the day, I feel sorry for him because all he's ever wanted to do is just podcast and be good. And it's just like, whoa, more money, more problems. It's never more true.
It's
Again,
going to be more money.
And he's overwhelmed.
I know he's never going to hear this.
I agree with that.
I think I'm still giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm still gonna give him a month, and I'm gonna wait and see. I'm not fucking, there's learning curves. It's a change. He moved to a different state. It's a new studio.
If I hadn't have seen that apology, I would be totally in your camp, Matt.
Listen,
I would say,
I
let's
thought,
just wait and see.
Simon,
but after that, I'm like, no, something is up.
Did it feel like someone had his arm twisted behind his back?
Guys,
like the
I saw the
fucking
same
Spotify guy with a gun?
Listen, I saw the same thing you did.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
And that's
I didn't
not
like it
good.
at all.
It's never a good thing when we all agree.
No, it is
There
not.
you go. That's true.
Not. The last thing we all agreed about is how much fucking pull the CIA has and things going on.
Nope, we don't think.
I'm pretty sure they did. All right. Great episode, guys.
Oh, was that it? We're not. We're done with Douglas Murray.
Yeah, let's.
Well, like I said, it was 2 hours of the people got to start being more reasonable. Listen to the other side, not force a cause on other
think
people.
it all comes back to what fucking Snowden said in the first episode, which is accountability and.
Yeah.
I really hate that it starts off with Kamar being
Just
like,
be
"This guy's
nice.
a conservative author," because to me it doesn't seem like conservative.
Well, a British
viewpoint.
conservative is
said
different
that.
than American.
You're right.
conservative.
Yeah.
Joe said that.
I know. I get it.
Wikipedia says it too.
Yeah. I'm expressing that, and yes, Kamar, you're right. Conservative over there is different.
It's like
than-
our conservative.
Sure,
isn't
sure.
It?
Yeah, but still, I mean, whatever.
Little more.
It just seems that one, it seems more centrist than conservative.
level-headed.
But yeah,
You
accountability.
say like a 15-year-old
Instead of-
horny girl.
instead-
No, I just wasn't sure about the words that were coming out of my
Instead
mouth.
of trying to change someone else's behavior, try to make your behavior the best it could be.
Yes,
And everything will get better that way.
Unless you think you're a real piece of shit, in which case you should probably just find a body of water and
Bad people don't
Just
know they're
walk
bad
into it.
people.
Just lean into the gun, as Matt likes to say.
yes, please.
Well, that's funny. I got a good comment for the post, Joe.
All right, well,
Bad review
there we go. How
That's
did we
fine.
not see it?
because it was on Twitter.
No, we don't believe in Twitter.
Nor do I. You look at our Twitter page.
All right.
We're done with Douglas. That's it. We gave him 20 minutes. Okay,
Doug
fair
Murray.
enough.
It was
well,
only
no.
20 minutes?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
felt
that's
like an
fine.
hour.
Never tell
I
Simon. the
skipped
time.
over a bunch of shit. I can go back and
No, well, now it's too late. Now it seems redundant.
The you know what the problem is like
pick a lane, Matt.
say
Not enough time, too much time. Come on.
people using guests on it against other people. You know, they argue a point about trans or something, and instead of having is my own formulated opinion, they mention I got it from Joe Rogan, and then that person goes, "Oh, then Joe Rogan's the worst," and it's just mounting. It's all right if you listen to Joe Rogan Joe Rogan episode and regurgitate what you learned about ancient aliens or ancient civilization. You're not going to ruffle any feathers. But if you turn and say, well, you're ridiculous or out of line for this, then he gets credit as being the platform that's spreading hate. He's got too big.
He did say
I pray for you, Joe.
He did say that when civilizations start to go into decline, they start to focus on trans type issues. He said it happened in Rome and Greece.
Stuff that won't make a huge difference in the big scheme of things. Sort of like micro problems. Is that what you
Well,
mean?
or that they were just both focused on this idea of there being no gender anymore, which seems to be like a much more enlightened,
I don't think that was it, but I think
What do you mean?
I don't think he was saying that back then it was trans issues. But you're saying that's what he was saying.
Well, he was saying they were like hermaphroditic type issues. The idea of not having a sex.
I don't think that's what he
Yeah,
said.
that's exactly what he said, man.
I love how you're looking all around for your papers frantically, like you had that written down.
I did have a note written down, but I don't need it.
The one thing he said
So
that gave me solace is that he said it took 400 years for the Roman Empire to crumble.
Yeah, that was in
not like-
0 BC. I'm sure now it would happen a lot fucking faster.
Well, I hope not. I hope 50 years. Or are we in?
Well, we might be
Year
in
fifty
year
Could be
78.
already,
year
yeah.
49. Is that what you meant?
Well, you guys predicted when we started this 5 years. So as things proceed, it seems like you're getting closer and closer to being right, unfortunately.
Well, if I knew that, I would have predicted a lot more than 5 years.
Well, it's on tape. Nothing we can do.
Are we going to rate him then?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we'll start with Kamar.
I give it 3.5.
I give it a 3.
I give it I guess a 3 is good.
It just rubbed me the wrong way that he's reselling a book. But I agree with most everything he said. If that makes me a racist, so be it.
Well, we already know you're a racist.
Well, yeah, there's nothing I can say to stop you.
There
That
you go.
was his opening point, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well, there is, I mean, like, even if you look at like Brian Callen, let's say Brian Callen was that guy, or a Chris D'Elia, if they were
That other guy?
if they were innocent and this whole thing was just a giant Me Too fucking scam, there's no going back. These guys are done deals.
Well, they have to scream on the top of the mountain. Shame on you. You can't do this to me. Allegedly.
That's what you had to do, I guess. But
My only problem though with these is like when it's like 12, you have to assume someone isn't lying, right? You really just think 12 random people come out of the woodworks to jump in?
unless it's like this concerted, look, Matt, yes, it seems shady. It seems stupid sometimes, but if one organization is trying to take out another organization, this seems like a really good weapon to wield. We know it works.
What organization?
Just pick any two organizations. You know.
Yeah, I know,
what
but
I mean?
who?
There is that. I'm thinking also we know with serial killers there's copycat crimes.
Okay.
Like I don't actually believe there's a concerted organization that round up all these women and then we'll take. I don't believe that.
Well,
it could be.
here's an example of how that could work is with that judge and the DNC. What's his name?
Oh, that's exactly what I thought. When they held on to her till his hearing and then brought her out.
That's your whole theory. So,
But
if
had they had
that-
6 of her, then he would have gone down. He's saying 12. The devil's in the numbers, right?
Yeah, that's my issue.
But I guess what I'm saying is if you can pay off one person, then you can pay off 6 or 12.
Yeah, but my problem is this is like D'Elia ended up showing like one instance where the girl ended up being like, hey, I'm 21 now, down to fuck, and like, okay, yeah, that one's damning for that girl. But like if there's 7 or 8 others, like I'm just saying is the numbers to me are where I have a real issue. Like if
yes, yeah.
I Bill
hear
Cosby
you.
ended up being a fucking serial rapist. That is a fucking fact. It's tough to deny. Maybe one or two, maybe at the end of the day, 1 or 2 jumped on the bandwagon and tried to get some fame out of it. But you have to admit that.
That's the possibility here. We cannot just.
And I'm
throw it
not
out.
damning.
I do
Listen,
have
I'm
People
not.
could be jumping on a bandwagon.
I get it.
and
I'm
that's
not
what it is.
damning. There's not enough. I don't know enough about either D'Elia or
Yeah,
Brian
me either.
Callen's cases to know or to comment or to care to comment.
The only thing I can comment on is about Joe and why he doesn't talk about it. That's the only thing that has any kind of bearing on.
Well, I think, but listen, if they're already discussing his trans position at Spotify, then obviously he can't talk about an open, pretty much rape case between his like. I just don't think that
Well,
he can.
that's what I was going to say. What is damning is an indictment and a conviction.
Yeah.
Accusations, everything else is just.
But
It
I mean,
doesn't look as good as is, but what can we say?
The only problem with that, though, is that we know that, rape cases rarely go fucking punished. So that's where we have a real problem. Right?
Yeah.
Either way.
100 episodes. Thank you so much, guys. Fuck, we did it, boys? We did it. 100.
Woo!
Yeah, tough to believe.
Back in time.
Back in time.
Wow, thank you so much. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I guess here's to 100 more. That's
Virtual high five.
it. Okay. If you guys want to email us, it's jreepodcast@gmail.com. We have a Twitter and an Instagram. They are both JREE Podcast. You can follow Kamar on Instagram.
Kamar Babar.
for the weather. You can follow Simon.
Bigfoot Sighting Society.
You got a lot of love in the Diablo avocado there.
Yeah, it's coming to fruition. That's huge.
You know what's so funny?
Pentagram is not
I
upside down.
spelled it wrong.
You spelled Diablo wrong or
I spelled
avocado?
avocado wrong. I had to take down the post.
You're hilarious.
Well,
How do you
Adorable.
spell it?
but what's so funny is somebody told me you should flip this
The
or
pentagram
whatever.
should be upside down, yeah.
Nobody mentioned that avocado was spelled
misspelled.
improperly.
Yeah.
Because they're too enamored by the beautiful artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked great.
Message.
Simon.
Well, let me fix that. Make it an O instead of an A, and
So
we're
there you
set
go.
to go.
You
That
can
is gonna be
order prints from Simon at
No, you can.
Bigfoot
we'll
Sighting
put it on
Society.
a
We're gonna do
t-shirt.
no.
Yeah.
We're gonna get T-shirts. We're gonna get on this
do
merch
something.
drop.
We'll do something.
either way.
Either way.
What
Thank
else?
You,
What else is there?
YouTube.
There's a YouTube if you want to watch the show and see what three fucking fat old guys look like. It's youtube.com/JREE podcast, or just search JREE podcast on YouTube. You'll find us there. Hit that subscribe button.
We need 503 more subscribers to get 1,000. We hope to get there by next week, guys. So tell someone, if someone's fucking computer's open, just subscribe. They'll never even know.
What do you realistically think? When do you realistically think we'll get to 1,000? I'll say February. I'll say my birthday, February 7th.
I will make a realistic prediction after a year.
Okay.
Because
fair
it started in
enough.
January or something like that. Or
Okay.
And we
Anyway.
have a Patreon that if you want to support us or if you hate us, join the Patreon. Because if you make too much money, we'll fuck it all up.
Yeah, it's patreon.com/JREE podcast. If you join the Patreon for $5 a month or more, you will get the post show early. So you get the post show on Tuesday with the normal episode. You also get 3 or 4 episodes of This Won't Age Well, the series where we go back, we listen to old episodes, and we do what we do here on the normal show. There's also a bunch of new stuff coming down the pipe. We're going to do Simon's Conspiracy Corner. It's not going to be called
We're
that.
gonna
He
call
hates
it something
Name
else.
in progress.
Do
Simon
not
hates that
like
name.
that name at all.
And don't forget the epic moon debate.
Oh shit, we're redoing that.
No.
Redoing
He's
it.
saying
It's
it's
there.
on there.
Oh, it's on there. Got you.
We might do Kamar's advice column. There's going to be some new stuff on the Patreon. So if you want to jump on, you can join for as little as $5 a month. Do that. It'll help us make this thing fucking better.
So we can get off the corporate teat.
Yeah. That's about it. Thank you so much for listening or watching. If you've watched even one of the episodes or 5 or all 100, no matter what, we love you. Thank you so much for listening, for watching. Here's to 100 more. Here's to you guys.
You guys are troopers.
We do it for you whether you love us or you hate us. If you love us, thank you. If you hate us, go fuck yourselves. Is that it?
But donate to the
Go
Patreon.
Fuck yourselves.
A podcast about a podcast. Simon, you have anything to say?
Keep your eyes open.